quit trying. You were too small and you were too young. They tell you the chance is too slim, the world is too big, but you say how come? I'm ready to light a new fire, raise a new flag to cross a new sea. And if I'm ever the one in your way, then put your head down and run right through me. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. How will we get out of here? Well, we'll never stop running. It's something like a shadow in the valley, colossal. Open up your eyes, young one, and be watchful. Behind closed doors, trying to write a new gospel. They are not God, they're not even apostles. I come with the dumb drum banging you breathless. Enemies freeze, left bent and defenseless. Straight for the chest of anybody against us. The more they resist it, the more that they tempt us. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. How will we get out of here? Well, take off and never stop running. What's next? We're looking for an open door, some we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, some we didn't see before. Yeah, when we get out of here, we'll take off and never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. When we get that open door, no, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. When we get that open door, no, no, we'll never stop running.
All right. Good win for the Bulls tonight. A much needed win, in my opinion. Dark. You know what? I'm just going to leave it as is. I like how it is right now. Bulls got the win in Utah. They haven't won in Utah in a very long time, since 2016, I believe. So, good to see the Bulls. I mean, it was 2017, but good to see the Bulls finally win in Utah, as they've got a win on this road trip that they should have won. Thought the Bulls could have won in OKC. They win it in Utah, which they should have. And they beat the Jazz 114-107. I can't really complain too much about this one. First half obviously wasn't great, but there's definitely a lot of positives that I want to talk about in this game, and I want to get to them pretty quickly. But I see Magugla is here. Good to see you again. I know it's late. It's West Coast. We're going to have a lot of West Coast games that are going to be going on late for Chicago time, so if you're up with me, I appreciate it a lot. But Bulls got this one in Utah. This one isn't too late, at least. It's 10:30-ish. So, hope to see you guys in here. But I have to point out a couple of things in this one, which was points in the paint defense for the Bulls. This was huge, considering that I knew that this was going to be an area of emphasis for the Bulls all season. And the Bulls just gave up 68 points in the paint to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That was straight up inexcusable in that game. There was no reason to give up 68 points in the paint to any team, and especially against the Thunder, who don't have much shooting around them. So it made no sense to me that the Bulls gave up that many points in the paint against the Thunder. In this game right here, the Bulls gave up 26 points in the paint in the first half. It was overall okay in the first half, but the defense definitely needed to tighten the screws. And you saw this Bulls team just wasn't 100% engaged defensively. Well, that changed. In the second half, the Jazz only scored 18 points in the paint. 12 of those 18 points came in the fourth quarter. The Jazz only scored 4 points in the paint in the third quarter. So you look at this third quarter for this game. This was a huge. Let me just pull it this way. This was a huge quarter for the Bulls. They were plus 13 in this third quarter, and a big reason why was because the Jazz only scored 4 points in the paint this quarter. I don't care how good of a shooting team this Jazz team is, or any team is for the matter of fact. This Jazz team made 19 threes tonight, shot almost 50 threes. But if you don't defend the paint, it's going to be over for you. If you defend the paint, this Jazz team could have hit 25 threes, and I still think you win this game. You have to defend the paint no matter what. And you saw in this game, 19 threes, 49 threes shot, only 107 points. This is why I think it's so important for this Bulls team to defend the paint. In total, they gave up 44 points in the paint in this game, and that's kind of the area I would like to target. I would like to see it 40 or lower, but that's very hard to do in today's NBA. So 44, I think, is a pretty okay number. The biggest thing for me, though, is that third quarter. Only 4 points in the paint for the Jazz in that third quarter. That's huge. That is humongous, in my opinion. So I was very happy to see that. Bulls also won the rebounding battle, which was one of my keys to the game. I said in our last stream that needed to happen. And then this was the other thing. I also tweeted out before the second half that if the Bulls actually just played some defense in this one, then we're actually going to see this Bulls team get a lot of transition opportunities and get a lot of fast break points. And I tweeted this out. The Jazz averaged 15 turnovers per game. That's 22nd in the league. The Jazz only had 5 turnovers going into the halftime. They ended with 14 at the end of the game. That's where you take advantage of this Jazz team. And especially without Mike Conley there to handle the point guard position, this Jazz team is prone to turn it over. I was shocked the Bulls didn't get more turnovers or force more turnovers in the first half. Well, they did it in the second half. They forced 9 turnovers, and it led to a lot of points for them. 13 fast break points for the Bulls for this game. 2 of those came in the first half. So you see how much of a difference it was for the Bulls between the first half and second half. Definitely the first half wasn't great, but there are also I wasn't exactly annoyed with it. It just wasn't perfect for the Bulls. Once they just decided, hey, let's actually play some defense, they won this game. And this is what it was in the end. So I can't complain too much, but I'm happy that the Bulls at least realized what they needed to do to win this one, as they got the win over Lauri Markkanen's revenge game, which Markkanen put up 32 points in this one. So good job by Markkanen today. But I know a lot of Bulls fans are always just going to be talking about Markkanen. And again, I'm happy for his success. I did not think he'd have a good game against the Bulls. I was clearly wrong. But 24 of those 32 points came in the first half. He only scored 8 in the second half. And this is the kind of the reason why I'm not the biggest, supporter of Markkanen. I hope nothing but the best for him. But we've seen this before where he kind of disappears. After a good quarter or a good half, he just kind of disappears. So, he was on pace to go for 50, and he didn't. So, this is just kind of how I'm always with Markkanen. It's like, well, you have the opportunity to do a lot more, and you didn't take advantage. I think tonight's one of those nights, and, he wasn't supposed to play, so give him a little bit of slack. But, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of where it is with Markkanen, where goes off, and then he fades. So I'm overall pleased with this game for the Bulls. When they should have, they got it. And I think it's overall a pretty big win for them, as now the second half of this treacherous West Coast trip here is not exactly nice, as the Bulls face Phoenix, I believe, next. Yeah, Phoenix. So that's going to be a really rough game. And then Golden State after that. Sacramento is obviously playing well. They ended their winning streak, though. So this is a game the Bulls had to get, in my opinion. Hopefully they could still get another win on this road trip and go 3-3, but we'll see. But I want to talk about a couple other things here. in this game and then potentially get to some footage. I don't know how much footage I want to go over tonight. I thought the Bulls did a good job of getting into the paint in this one. This is something that they did not do against the Thunder, in my opinion. Bulls had 64 points in the paint. That's exactly what you want to see because this team, besides a Kessler for the Utah Jazz, does not have any shot blockers. As much as I like Kelly Olynyk, he is not a shot blocker, and Kelly Olynyk had 23 points in the second half, so good for him. But at the end of the day, there is really no shot blocking on this team, and Walker Kessler only played 5 minutes, so you should definitely have taken advantage of the lack of paint protection for the Jazz. They did that, so no complaints there. And then I thought overall, I guess I'm still a little bit irked by this, but the Bulls established Vooch a good amount, especially in the first half. He had 14 points in the first half. He ended up, I think, with 20, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, never mind, he ended with 16. So second half, the Bulls didn't really find him, but I think overall we saw the rest of the team look to score inside, so it made up for Vooch's lack of scoring. I still think that to up the points in the paint for the Bulls, which again, they're bottom 5 team in points in the paint this season, I still think posting a Vooch is still a good option, not just for him to score, but for him to also pass it to some guys cutting to the rim to get some paint points. I thought the Bulls could have taken advantage of that a little bit more in the second half, but in the end, it still worked out. So I can't complain too much. But the stars tonight, DeRozan had a horrible first half, but you kind of know that he's going to redeem himself, and he came back and obviously was huge in the second half. He had 22 points in the second half. LaVine, I overall thought had a good game, but I'm very concerned with LaVine right now with his scoring. He's still going to average 20 easily, but we need him to average 24 to 25 on this team, and it just seems like he's just kind of getting stuck at 20 every single game. I know we saw him get 27 against the Thunder, but LaVine's blowing layups, and he had some good finishes at the rim tonight, but I don't know what it is with him and his lack of finishing this season because he can still jump very easily. He still has the amazing hops because we saw an alley-oop thrown to him by DeRozan, and he went up and absolutely got the ball, and it was in a position where no one else could get it, and he slammed it home. So I'm like, okay, he can still jump high. Why isn't he finishing at the rim? So I'm now starting to question, like, maybe it's not his knee. Maybe it's more his core, and that his conditioning isn't exactly where it needs to be right now. And I think actually where I'm starting to lead to is that I think his conditioning just isn't there because, he talked about not playing 5-on-5 throughout the summer, and I don't think people understand like how big that is, because there's nothing that can replicate 5-on-5 or like actual game scenarios. You can practice all you want, but because he was in rehab for so long after the surgery, that maybe he just really isn't in the best shape. So I mean he still is in great shape, obviously, but he's not exactly 100% at this point. So I think that's where I'm kind of leaning towards right now when it comes to LaVine. And if that's the case, I feel a lot better because if it was the knee, then I'd be much more concerned that it's a permanent thing. But we saw a lot of good finishes tonight. The crazy thing was that if you remember back to the Cavs game, which the Bulls got blown out, like Zach was finishing over Jarrett Allen like easily. Like it looked like it was simple to him. So I just don't know what it is with Zach right now. But he missed a couple of bunnies tonight, and I'm just not used to seeing Zach miss those. I'm not used to it. So he shot 7 of 20. He had some big buckets. But I guess the part that I'm overall pleased with is that I think his defense has been pretty solid this season. And we're seeing him get involved in other ways. And this is the reason why I keep saying that I don't think Zach's like a one-dimensional player. He had 6 rebounds, he had 5 assists. The biggest thing to me is he only had 1 turnover. And on that 1 turnover, it was a pass and not him losing the ball. So that clearly has improved his ball handling. His decision-making, I think, is much more improved from seasons ago. And you're seeing that he's getting involved in the game in other ways. We need the guards to rebound in this team, and he's doing such a thing. So I'm still concerned, because he keeps getting stuck at this 20 mark, and I'm like, I need 26 or I need more. But I'm also thinking to myself, I think he's just not 100% with his conditioning right now. And again, if that's the case, I think that's a good thing for the Bulls because I know Zach's going to get there at some point, and the only way to get there is by playing games. And obviously, if he continues to play games, he'll be just fine. I'm not saying that he came into the training camp overweight. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that it's just that because he didn't play 5-on-5 during the summer, like we usually see with other people, like DeRozan, for example, that his in-game conditioning just isn't 100%. And hopefully this, struggle at the rim when it comes to layups goes away. I think it will. Because he's still getting to the rim easily. I don't know, like, that's the part that's, like, very weird to me. It's like he's struggling to get to the rim. He's getting to the rim. He can get to the rim easily. It's just not finishing at the rim, which is the weird part. So, I think that's kind of my guess right now, and I might make a video on this when it comes to Levine, because I think this is something that I'm actually really starting to consider. But other thing I want to talk about is I think Kobe White had a phenomenal game tonight. He hit some big threes when it mattered the most, and he came in and just absolutely sparked this Bulls team. And I had no issues with him. And the biggest thing again, 0 turnovers for him, which is I thought huge. So Kobe White came in and did a great job. And obviously he closed the game. He hit a big three to end the game. So that's obviously huge when it comes to Kobe White and this Bulls team, because we need bench points. It's something that is very necessary, especially because Io and P. Will aren't exactly reliable when it comes to their scoring. So yes, the big three is going to score, but then where does the other points come from? And it's going to have to come from the bench. And we saw Kobe White put up 15 points, and Drummond put up 10, and Dragic put up 7. That's huge. We need that from those guys. And Kobe White, I think, deserves a lot of credit for his recent play. And I'm not opposed to him closing games right now because he's playing that well. So I'm pretty happy to see that overall. All right, I'm seeing now the chat just woke up. I apologize if I'm not seeing chat immediately. I do think that I'm having some issues with my internet tonight. It's been an issue all day, so if I see chat late, it's because of my internet, so I apologize. But Noel, good to see you again. Gogo, good to see you again. I'm glad to see you here again. Bench carried us today. That is facts, Noel. And he said that if we did not get a good bench performance, we would have easily lost today. And I totally agree. The bench had to pick it up tonight, and they did that, and the Bulls won. Like I said to Gogo, good to see you. It is always good when the Bulls win. Noel, Kobe was also really solid on defense. Yes, Kobe White was very solid on defense again tonight, which again is huge. I've always said this about Kobe, if Kobe defends, then I have no issue with him being on the court. He can miss jumpers, and I'm fine with him missing jumpers. It's that if he's missing jumpers and not defending, then he can't be on the court. But if he's defending, then he's going to get more playing time, and with him getting more playing time, I know he's going to score. It's just a matter of time before he starts scoring if he's staying on the court. But he has to defend to stay on the court, and he's been doing that recently, and he's closing games because of it, and that's huge for this Bulls team. So good to see that. Why is DJJ out of the lineup again? I think it's because Javonte Green has played so well, and with Drummond finally back, and Kobe White finally back, I don't know if there's just a spot for him right now. I could see Derrick Jones Jr. maybe playing to start the second or fourth quarter, but it's going to be for very limited minutes. So I'm not too upset with Derrick Jones Jr. being out of the lineup because I think Javonte Green is too valuable to keep off the court. But I think overall, if Derrick Jones Jr. is going to get any minutes, it's going to be very limited minutes to start a quarter. And I think right now, with how well Kobe's playing and how well Drummond's playing, I just can't take those guys off for Derrick Jones Jr. So that's just my opinion on it, but I understand why people would want to see him in the lab. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I just think other guys have played better recently, and because we have to understand, when Derrick Jones Jr. was playing, it was because either Drummond was out or he was playing for Javonte Green. That that second one to me is the biggest issue. Like if Drummond's out, fine, yeah, you play Derrick Jones Jr., but you can't put Javonte Green on the bench for Derrick Jones Jr. His defense is too good for Green to just not play. I'll bring up a little stat later on to show you. Like Javonte Green is so good on defense, and I think it's important that people understand that. Jazz fan here, main event. Good to see you. Good win, Chicago, Utah starting to take for Wembanyama now. I guess maybe that is the case. I think you guys have lost 5 in a row now. So I know that kind of sucks, but it's interesting. I'm not a big fan of tanking, but I thought this was one of the teams that would tank this season, and you guys got off to such a great start. And I'm honestly was really impressed, but I also was kind of like, is Mike Conley going to stay healthy all season? And we got the answer to that very quickly, and because of that, I think it might be time to tank. So GG's. I'm glad to see you in the chat and talking with me and everything. So I appreciate the good sportsmanship and everything. Haven't had too many issues with Jazz fans. I've had a lot of issues with Raptors fans, but Jazz fans seem overall pretty cool, and I'm actually hoping for you guys' future. I think Markkanen isn't exactly like a cornerstone piece for you guys. And I know that might sound like, biased Bulls fan coming in, but I think the Jazz have a pretty solid future. And even if you don't get Wembanyama or you don't get Scoot Henderson or one of the top 3 picks, I still think that the Jazz are still looking pretty good for the future. So best of luck to you guys. I know the Bulls face them again, so we'll see what happens in the second game at the United Center. But GG's, and yeah, we'll see what Danny Ainge does for you guys. I'm actually kind of excited to see if you guys pull off some more trades, like trading Jordan Clarkson, trading Mike Conley, etc. I think that'd be a good chance for you guys to get some more value and some picks back. So let's see what happens in Utah for the rest of this season. I'm going to talk about Markkanen and his great game in a second here, but yeah, I just want to finish my whole point on the bench for the Bulls. Let's see here. Thank you, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Ainge deals Clarkson to Markkanen. I wouldn't be surprised either for Clarkson. I think Markkanen is probably going to stay there. I don't know what you think about Markkanen, but I personally think Markkanen's like a Danilo Gallinari, and he's, that's a solid player. I just don't think that Markkanen's like, a cornerstone, to build around. But I could see Markkanen staying, but, a team, that needs shooting desperately, that is a contending team. I also wouldn't be shocked if they are willing to pay a good amount for Markkanen. So, I don't know. But I can really see Clarkson being moved. That'd be interesting to see. Let's see. Salty Solution, good to see you again. I'm sad Boylan ruined Larry for us. Yeah. That ball-headed man is an issue. And I'm glad he's gone. I don't know how much he ruined. Like, he definitely hurt Markkanen's progress. I'll say that. Here, I'm actually going to pull this up because I think this is important to actually talk about. Like, if you want to see how different Larry Markkanen's shot chart looked from his sophomore season to his third year, like this is the thing that I think is just ridiculous to look at. Okay, so this was Larry Markkanen's shot chart from his second season. Okay, you see it's pretty well balanced. A lot of threes, obviously, but you see that he's scoring in basically all areas of the floor. All right. Now, I actually made a video on this channel back then when I had no subscribers or anything, so I'm sure none of you guys have seen this video. But look at the difference between this season to this season. The biggest thing, obviously, that jumps out the page is that Larry wasn't taking any mid-range shots. But I want to make it clear that in this season, Larry Markkanen was also just straight up, he was only shooting. Right? He was never going to the paint. He never posted up. He never took a mid-range shot, was never shooting off the dribble. That's how much Boylan changed Markkanen's game. And it's because Boylan was trying to implement this stupid system of like, all right, we're only shooting threes, we're only shooting layups. And it's like you don't win basketball games that way. I know the Houston Rockets are the Houston Rockets, but like they have James Harden. You know, when that happened. Like that's a whole discussion for another day. But they never won anything. I know they got to the Western Conference Finals, but to me, you don't win if you never shoot mid-range shots. Just this alone right here should show you how much Boylen not only ruined Markkanen, but also ruined other players on that Bulls team. This shot chart is atrocious. I hate seeing this. This is awful. It's just astounding to see the difference between this to this. It's incredible, honestly. And I'm glad to see Markkanen is back to being, more than just a spot-up shooter and actually posting up and taking advantage of his size and shooting off the dribble and driving hard to the rim. Like, I want to see that. Do I think he's going to be an all-star? No, I don't. But I think Markkanen can be a very solid scorer and reliable scorer in this league and averaging, 18 to 19 points on, like, a contending team. But I just don't see him ever becoming, like, top-of-the-line all-star. But I hope he proves me wrong because I think Lauri is a very, very solid scorer. But it takes it takes a little bit to take that next step, and I worry that his progression, unfortunately, I know he's playing well now, but like he missed some time of improvement because of Jim Boylen. And it's because of this right here. Like this is just ridiculous in my opinion. To see this, see just how different the shot charts were. So yeah, it's interesting with Markkanen. But again, I hope nothing but the best for him. And we'll see if he stays in Utah or if he moves somewhere else. Yeah. Lauri wanted to be more than a spot-up shooter. He definitely did. Yeah, I mean, Lauri wanted to be a lot of things. Like he wanted to be a 7-footer that can post up effectively and shoot Dirk like fadeaways, and he wanted to be a guy that you could run flare screens with and have him either shoot the ball or put it on the deck and go right to the rim or shoot a mid-range jumper. Like, he had all the tools. But, when coach says, hey, only shoot threes if you are wide open, don't take a dribble and shoot a three. Just catch and shoot threes. If it's not there, then drive to the rim and hopefully you make a layup. That's what Boylen did and ruined not just him, but a lot of guys for that Bulls team. So I'm glad to see Markkanen's, figuring it out. I don't know how long this great, run's going to last for him. I do think we're going to see him kind of come back down to earth. I still think he's going to average a career high in points, but I just don't know if he's going to be averaging 22 for the rest of the season. I know he just absolutely lit up the Bulls tonight, but I think that's actually where I want to go to next for the post game here. But when it comes to a guy like Markkanen, right? One of the biggest things that I have to stress is he is a good enough scorer where it's like you have to take away something, right? You can't just let him do whatever he wants. And in my opinion, the Bulls actually, even though he was killing us in the first half, the Bulls were kind of doing things right. It wasn't really till the second quarter where things started to fall apart. But Lauri started, I believe 5 for 6 from 3-point range. I could be mistaken, but he was just draining threes. He had 5 3-pointers very early, and he had 19 points. But I was looking at that, I'm like, okay, well, the biggest thing for me is that a lot of his points are from 3-point range. If, let's say, Markkanen was, posting up and getting into the paint very easily, etc., then I would be concerned with this Bulls team because you can't let Markkanen shoot the three and also let him get into the paint and score very easily. That's inexcusable, right? But we saw Markkanen, he was basically just drilling threes, and I'm like, okay, I can live with this. Some of them were contested. The Bulls obviously needed to do a better job contesting his 3-point shots, but I can live with it if he's just drilling threes on us. And, you got to play the percentages, right? Markkanen, he came into this game shooting 36% from 3-point range, but earlier this season, like, he wasn't necessarily scoring from three. It was everything else. He was scoring in the paint. He was scoring off the dribble. He was scoring the pick and roll. Like, it was everything else from Markkanen was going well, and he was shooting like 30% from three. And I think that's what a lot of people didn't understand was, like, he clearly improved a lot because he wasn't relying on the three ball. So in this game, he comes out and is just lights out from three. I'm like, okay, well, he's not scoring in the paint. Then the second quarter, we saw him get some back cuts. We saw him score in the pick and roll and hit some layups. And that's when I was like, crap, that's not good. Bulls need to do a lot better job defending him. And then I thought, honestly, in the third and fourth quarters, I thought the Jazz just kind of went away from Markkanen. The Bulls obviously did a little bit better job by forcing him to shoot threes more. But, you know, he got some points on some putback layups. But he hit an open three. But I'm like, if he's mostly shooting threes, I can live with it again. You know, if he makes them, he makes them. But yet again, as I've talked about this so many times, if the Bulls are defending the paint but are giving up those 3-point shots, obviously you got to contest those 3-point shots, and the Bulls are actually doing a good job this season on doing that. That's a win. Don't let the opposing team outscoring in the paint. You have to win the paint battle in terms of points. And again, the Jazz, they went out and shot 49 threes tonight, made 19, but only scored 107 points. So I applaud Markkanen for having a great game. I applaud for him, playing tonight when he was probably pretty amped to play, and he had a chance to just sit out due to his, I believe, a calf injury. But he absolutely lit us up. But it didn't end up in a win. So sorry to him, but I think the Bulls adjusted. They adjusted not only onto him, but to everyone else, and did a good job. Even a guy like Malik Beasley, like, he went 3 for 11 today, and he's a phenomenal 3-point shooter. This is what I'm saying when it comes to the Bulls. Like, yes, you have to make sure that with Malik Beasley, like, if he ever shoots a 3, contest it hard, because he's a great 3-point shooter. But if those are the shots that he's mostly taking, which again, that's what the Jazz do. They mostly take threes, and he's one of those guys. It's a win. Jordan Clarkson, 1 for 8 from 3-point range tonight. This is a dude that can catch fire at any moment. But you have to make sure that he stays out of the paint first, because if he starts scoring some layups, he's going to start drilling those outside shots. But tonight, a lot of perimeter shots, a lot of them didn't go down. You live with it. That's exactly what you wanted to see. So I think the Bulls did overall a good job, mostly in the second half, though, when it came to the defense against the Jazz. You knew the Jazz were going to chuck up a lot of threes, but you had to make sure that they were contested. They didn't get any easy looks, and didn't allow those 3-point shots. If they started going down, don't allow that to start overextending your defense. Don't allow them to start getting easy layups and paint points and dunks just because they're shooting well from 3. So I think the Bulls did a good job. They stuck with their defensive principles for the most part and protected the paint first. And you got to win in a game they should have won. So good job by the Bulls tonight. One last thing. I'm a big fan of Jared Vanderbilt. I personally love him as a player. I understand why the Minnesota Timberwolves had to get rid of him, but let me tell you, I would say that the Timberwolves would love Jared Vanderbilt right now. Hopefully Karl-Anthony Towns is okay. But the dude, I just love the guy. I know a lot of Bulls fans are kind of looking at him potentially being a guy to come in and give us some more depth at the forward position. We'll see. I don't know how much Danny Ainge values Jared Vanderbilt, but I would like a guy like him on this Bulls team, because I think he could play the 4 and the 5. I know he doesn't shoot the ball. I know this Bulls team needs shooting desperately, which I'm going to talk about in a second here. But the dude does everything else, and I love Jared Vanderbilt. So we'll see if the Jazz keep him or not. But just wanted to put that out there. Was there a primary defender on Lowry? It was Patrick Williams to start, and P. Will was just getting back cut, and specifically the second quarter, P. Will just got back cut, and it was annoying to watch. So not a great defensive game by P. Will tonight, but it was then Alex Caruso was put on Markkanen, and we saw Caruso actually do a really good job on Markkanen, specifically in the second half. We saw Caruso do a really solid job on him, and that was really good to see. So that's the reason why you got Alex Caruso on your team. I know he's 6'4", but the dude can guard a lot of positions, and even a guy a 7-footer Markkanen, he can really guard well. So AC came in and just did a phenomenal job on Markkanen, especially in the second half. He did a great job. So yeah, that was the Bulls' game plan. I like the game plan. Obviously, you start P. Will on him, but after that, you put Caruso on him. Straight up. So good job by the Bulls. Yeah. Let's see here. J for P. Will straight up throw on Bradley too. No. Sorry. I'm not doing that deal whatsoever. Good thing you're not the GM. I agree with you with that. I'm glad you're not the GM because I would personally not like that. I would like Jared Vanderbilt on the Bulls, but not for Patrick Williams. That's not something I would do. Yeah. And McGoogle, AC did a good job defending him. I agree. Yeah, AC did a really good job defending him. Yeah, we can talk about that later. But one thing I want to talk about now is the Bulls and their lack of three-point shooting, because this is the part where things start to where a lot of Bulls fans start to actually they start getting upset, and they're like, hey, this is where the Bulls start losing games. And I believe it was Cody Westerlund tweeted this out. So he tweeted this out. Bulls are currently pacing for another organizational structural loss tonight with how they're getting worked again from behind a three-point line. Bulls are now pacing for organizational structural win tonight with their free throw line dominance. So it is very evident that this Bulls team obviously doesn't have shooting, right? And a lot of people start saying, well, look at the front, the front offices deserve some blame for it. They're not going out and getting three-point shooters. They didn't surround this team with the right guys, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand if you think that way, and I do think that AK and Mark Eversley deserve some blame when it comes to the lack of three-point shooting on this roster. But let me also remind you of this. If you think about the current starting lineup, if everyone was healthy, so Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, DeMar DeRozan, okay? Just take that starting lineup. Nikola Vucevic, let's just pull up his numbers. When the Bulls traded for Nikola Vucevic, the dude was shooting 40% from three-point range, okay? This was the season, right? The dude shot 40% from three-point range. He shot 38% when he got here in his first 26 games with the Bulls, okay? This dude was a great three-point shooter when he got here. He obviously, fell, his numbers fell, and last season he shot 31%. Now, it's always been kind of said, if he made 13 more threes last season, it would be 35% from three-point range for Vucevic, okay? So, obviously, maybe it was bad for AK and Mark Eversley to bet on his, career best 40% three-point shooting that season and say that maybe that's the consistent, that would be, the new consistent thing for Vooch. Maybe that was a bad bet. And obviously it's turned out to be a bad bet. But at the end of the day, we're looking at a dude that is supposed to come in and shoot at the very least 35%, probably a little bit better from three-point range. He wasn't going to shoot 40, but we've seen him had a 36% year 2 seasons before. So we're supposed to have him be reliable from three-point range. Then Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, his three-point shooting has just been some of the best in the past couple of seasons. And in this season, Zach came in shooting the lights out of the ball. Last season he shot 39%. If he didn't get injured, he was shooting over 40%. The year before that, he shot over 40%. The year before that, he shot 38%. So you're looking at another guy that is a phenomenal three-point shooter, okay? This season, he is shooting 36%. And at the beginning of the season, he was shooting over 40%. I expect that number to go up because Zach's too good of a shooter. Even if he is having knee issues still, he's too good of a shooter to shoot 36%. That's going to go up. It's going to be closer to 38, in my opinion. And he's shooting 8 threes a game, which is, in my opinion, the right thing. I would actually like to see him shoot like close to 9 if possible. So I wouldn't mind seeing that number be 9 3-point shots per game. Now, Lonzo Ball, okay? Lonzo Ball, we knew with him in his last season with New Orleans, he shot 37% or 38% from 3-point range. The year before that, it was 37%. So he comes into his first season with the Bulls and is shooting over 40%. So I'm just trying to make a point here that AK and Mark Eversley, if you really think about it, after the team was made, the starting lineup should have had at least 2 shooters that shot 38% or better from 3-point range, and then a center in Nikola Vucevic that should at least shoot 36% or better from 3-point range. Okay, like we're looking at some pretty good shooting, if not some elite shooting, when it comes to some of these guys, especially when it comes to Ball and Levine. Like we're talking about an elite shooting backcourt from 3-point range. Obviously, with Ball, the dude shoots over 40%. Levine, multiple seasons of 38% or better, a season of 40% or better, and over 40%. Like the shooting should have been there, right? And then the other thing that I want to point out is this: when they got Alex Caruso, his last season with the Lakers, if you look, he shot 40% from 3-point range. Obviously, it's unlimited attempts, but that was a career high in attempts for him, was 40% from 3-point range. And he was playing 21 minutes a game, which is close to his career high. Like, that seemed also sustainable. So, Caruso, we're thinking, he doesn't shoot 40%, but he still shoots better than 33%, which he did last season. And this season, he's off to a better start. He had a rough stretch to start the year, but he's still hesitant to shoot from 3-point range. So, he's not really a shooter anymore. So either way, you're looking at some guys here that you thought that either would be healthy or would sustain their good shooting, and so far it hasn't been the case. Caruso, we thought we were getting a 40% 3-point shooter. We didn't get him. With obviously Lonzo, we get a 40% 3-point shooter, but he's out and is going to be out for who knows how long. And that's not a fault of AK and Mark Eversley, because if they didn't get Lonzo, I swear to God, the entire Bulls fan base would have been absolutely calling for their jobs immediately. And with Zach, injury definitely hurt him, but he's still going to shoot the lights out of the ball. And with Vooch, we thought that we were getting a much better 3-point shooter. It just hasn't been the case. And if anything, I think that's the one bet that was the wrong bet to make. With DeRozan and Patrick Williams, obviously they're not great 3-point shooters. D-Will is obviously more reliable, but with DeRozan, he doesn't shoot threes, and Patrick Williams is very streaky. So you can't rely on those guys. I agree that this team needs to start shooting or start to have more 3-point shooters. Like it's just a fact. But at the end of the day, I'm also trying to argue like, hey, this Bulls front office thought they were getting a lot better 3-point shooters than. And they haven't got what was advertised, right? Lonzo being out obviously hurts a ton. And Alex Caruso, missing a lot of games, but also like really, really regressing into shooting, hurts them. And Vucevic regressing. Like that just, to me, I think that's kind of the more shocking one, which is like, I did not expect Vucevic to shoot 31% from 3-point range last season. And to start this season, he's shooting 36%, but I still feel like he misses more than he makes. At a pretty bad rate. I mean, obviously he misses more than he makes, but I don't think that 36% is sustainable for him, because I think it's going to go back down to 32%. So I get it with Bulls fans. They're like, we need more shooting on this team. A lot of Bulls fans were against the idea of getting Danilo Gallinari, right? I was actually, I thought that the Bulls, when they were in on Gallinari, I'm like, I think that was a great move. I thought that would be fantastic for this Bulls team, because Gallinari is a proven shooter and can absolutely light it up from 3-point range. Is he a good defender? No. But, at this stage of his career, like, he's not going to start. He's going to come off the bench, so his defense can't be too bad. And he's a shooter, but the Bulls didn't get him. So I think this front office is aware of the lack of 3-point shooting on this team. I also just think, though, they've just gotten extremely unlucky when it comes to this the 3-point shooting. So, guys like Kobe White now become extremely valuable to this team. I don't see him getting moved anytime soon, and I think I thought Io was going to shoot a lot better than he has to start the season. I think with Io, like, he got off to a great start, but he's recently just hasn't been shooting the three ball at all. And he's down to 33% for the season, and I don't know if that's going to get any better anytime soon. But I expect him to continue working on this, and he needs to get better at this, obviously. And Patrick Williams has just been the epitome of inconsistent. He's shooting 45% from three-point range, but we also know that some games he doesn't shoot the three ball at all, and then some games he shoots it and doesn't make any, and then some games he shoots it and he makes a ton. So, good start of this, to start this season. Like, it's a good start, but we also know teams are very willing to let him shoot the three ball. So he's not in the league right now looked at as a reliable three-point shooter. So I'm aware that this Bulls team is, lacks three-point shooting. There are a lot of people saying, like, hey, it's good that the Bulls are scoring in the paint, but the Jazz at one point were plus 30 from three-point range. I get it. But this Bulls team, man, like, I'm aware of the lack of three-point shooting, but they're gonna find ways to win even without the three-point shooting. The Bulls took the least amount of three-point attempts of any team last season, and were a 6 seed, won 46 games. Right now, this is the team. I think this is something that's gonna easily be addressed later on. And if it doesn't get addressed, then yes, we can start calling for AK and Mark Eversley's jobs. But I think they wanted to address this, and I think they actually kind of did. It's just been a lot of unlucky things for that front office, and Lonzo Ball being out is one of the bigger things that has led to lack of three-point shooting on this team. So trade deadline is gonna be huge, in my opinion. We need to see this Bulls team actually do something at the trade deadline to bolster the three-point shooting without giving up anything of significance, obviously. So we'll see how that works out, which is going to definitely be tough. Let's see. Salty Solution, you're the entire season I'm praying on the Bulls' downfall. You want Victor bad. You know what? I know a lot of Bulls fans are with you on this one, but in my opinion, I think that is a very bad decision because the Bulls do not have full control of their first-round pick. The Bulls could have the worst record in the league and still get the fourth pick, or even so, they can have the second worst record and then, or they can have the worst record and then fall back to 5 and not get a pick. So, betting a 14% chance, in my opinion, is just never worth it. Because there is no way you can guarantee Victor Wembanyama, and there's also no way you can guarantee a top 2 pick if you want Scoot Henderson. So I think it's a terrible idea. If you want this Bulls team to tank, suggest that in next offseason when the Bulls have full control of their pick. But this season, to me, is we run this out. So. I understand if you want to bet on that, top 4 protected, I think it's just a horrible decision, and I flat out hate taking. So that's your opinion though, and I respect it, but I'm here to tell you that I think it's a bad idea. You blame Levine for the situation we are in right now. What do you mean by that? I flat out disagree with that as well, but he forced us to make moves. I don't think that's the case. I think even if Levine wasn't here, let's say Levine is not here, I still think when this new front office comes in, they're going to make moves because this Bulls team was legit tanking for 4 straight seasons, got the 7th overall pick 3 straight seasons in a row, and got nowhere. Like, that's the whole thing. I'm like, I can't be a fan of tanking when the lottery odds are so against your what you want, and then you could legit be stuck in mud for so long. I think if Levine wasn't here, I still think this Bulls front office is actually looking to start winning now, because they can't continue the years of tanking that they just went through. Like, it got nowhere. The team legit got worse every single season, and they were continuing to, like, okay, let's just keep going. Like, no. None of your draft picks worked out. You never got a top 5 pick. Like, there's no way. So, I personally don't think Levine is responsible for the situation they are in. I think this Bulls front office, no matter what, was looking to actually make moves to start winning now once they took office, right? Once Garpax were officially out of office, I think that the Bulls, aka Markkanen, were like, no, we're winning now. So I don't know what that would have entailed, but I think they look to start, being an actual team instead of being one of the worst teams in the NBA every single season, and then never getting a top 5 pick. The Bulls, I mean, they were at one point like the 4th best odds for the first overall pick. They had a 12.5 chance to get the first overall pick, but then they had they were projected to get number 4, and they fell back to 7 again. Like, that's how bad it is. So I just think that's where I'm like, no, this Bulls team is looking to win. Levine let it be known he didn't care where he was. He just wanted to win. Okay. So I think, again, if you're arguing that Levine made the Bulls front office, go out and get some of these guys, I still am saying that if Levine wasn't here, I still think that this Bulls front office does exactly what we're talking about, which is go out and start getting some actual players. His contract was almost up, so we had to make him happy. Okay, but let's say this Celtics solution. Let's say the Bulls just trade Levine. Okay, what do you think that they're looking for in return? I don't think they're going to be looking for draft picks and, young players. Again, I think they're actually looking to, like, okay, we got a 26-year-old on one of the cheapest contracts in the league. Obviously, you want draft compensation, but you'd also want some very good players in return. Not just some guys with some potential that could turn out to be something and could be mediocre. Like, I think we're looking at guys that are really looking to be quality players and not just, potential guys that have raw potential and who knows, at one point could be something. So I just think in general, this Bulls front office is like, no, we're not continuing the years of tanking. We're just not going to pray. We're not going to just pray that we get the top pick. It didn't work the previous 4 seasons. It's not going to work now. So I'm personally okay where this Bulls team's at. I understand this whole Ringer article has gotten people all up in arms. I get it. But in my opinion, it just, yeah. Patrick was their first pick, so maybe they want to give him more time to shine. Okay, but even if Patrick is given more time to shine, do you think he's averaging more than 9 points per game? Like, I don't think he is. I think the dude is so young, and because it was a COVID season and everything, that he is extremely young and is still young, that we're not seeing him average more than 9 points per game. And he had a lot of leeway in his rookie season. I mean, the dude started immediately. He is thrusted into the starting small forward position. The only person that's in front of him in the pecking order was Levine. And that's, second option, like, could have done some more, right? I understand Markkanen was still here, but he had opportunities. I think with Patrick, we still have to be very patient with him, but I look at Patrick very similar to like a Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown, when he was drafted 3rd overall, he came into this league, he was averaging 5 points per game. Like, he wasn't anything to start, right? So I just think that it's a very similar situation with Patrick, where we have to be patient with him, and I think Patrick has the potential to be even better than Jaylen Brown, and that's the reason why I'm being more patient with him. But to also start, if let's say we trade Levine, we draft Patrick, etc., and we just take the rest of the season, like, I understand that you might think that's enticing, where it's like, okay, we get a top draft pick again. Hopefully, we'll see where it would have landed. Draft another guy, you start building from there. I get it, but I'm always starting. I'm pointing to other things. Like let's just take where is it? Let's just take the Detroit Pistons for example. Okay, the Detroit Pistons were praised heavily for all their moves that they did this past offseason. They drafted Jalen Duran, and they did all, they have all these guys. They got Killian Hayes, they got Katie Cunningham, they got everybody. They're thinking like, oh my god, we got all this young talent in the world. And now Katie Cunningham is injured and possibly out for a while, and this entire season for the Pistons, in my opinion, is just a wash. So this season, which a lot of people thought that they're actually going to take a step forward, they got the first overall pick. They've drafted high in a lot of recent drafts. A lot of things fell in their favor. They have their franchise cornerstone, and he's out for the rest of the season. And who knows when he's going to return, and when is the Pistons actually going to start playing winning basketball? They traded for Bojan Bogdanovic. They had all the cap space in the world, but decided to use it on Marvin Bagley. Like, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to tanking, that things could go your way, but it goes off the rails. Like, this Pistons team, a lot of people had them sneaking into the play-in tournament this season and talk about progress for this team. I'm telling you right now, they're going to end at the bottom, like, the very minimum, they're bottom 2 team in the Eastern Conference this season. Easily. So, I get it that people just think, okay, let's reset. And don't get me wrong, I think this Bulls team has issues. I'm not saying that this Bulls team doesn't. I'm not saying that this Bulls team should be the team moving forward. I think this whole continuity thing is actually pretty much BS by AK. I do agree that, teams that have continuity overall, that they win, but it's more so continuity with their core. And AK is trying to say like, hey, let's do continuity with, a lot of guys, and I think that's the wrong way of doing things. But I think that this Bulls team needs changes. I do. I think that DeRozan, Vucevic, and Levine can't play together. I seriously do. But that does not mean that I think that this Bulls team should absolutely just go on a tankathon and just forget about the rest of the season or the next season or the year after that. I think that's a horrible way of doing business. I think it's a horrible way of running the team. You don't build a culture, and hell, free agents won't want to come into Chicago. I think it was significant that Ball, Caruso, and DeRozan actually wanted to come to Chicago. I know everyone's going to say DeRozan was paid more money. I'm telling you, if DeRozan did not think Chicago was a place where he could actually win, he's going back to San Antonio on a 1-year contract and just playing out another season there. There's no reason for him to go to the Bulls. I get it. I understand that people are like, well, he got paid. There are other teams that could have paid him that money. I know people don't think that, but guess what? The Bulls were over the salary cap as well. And everyone's saying, well, no other team has salary cap space. I'm like, well, the Bulls were over the salary cap. How the hell did they get him? They paid him. So, I get where people are like, some of these things that the Bulls have gotten, they think that they're lucky. I disagree, personally. I think that this was overall the right decision for this Bulls team. The team is not well constructed. If you're upset at AK, I'll give you that. The team is not well constructed at all. But in my opinion, talent is more important. And for you to start winning, it doesn't matter about fit. You need to get talent first. I don't think that this current Bulls team, this core, is going anywhere. And hell, I'm even willing to get rid of all 3 of the big 3 right now. Like if the right trade pops up, I'm extremely willing to do that. But what I don't want is just only draft picks and compensation. I want actual players that I think can help this team win some games now, but also start building a culture. If that, will get worse in general, but I'm not saying, hey, let's just sit everybody and only play like very few people and lose every single game for the rest of the season. That's not what I want to do. If the Bulls decide, okay, let's just move on for the big 3, because if you move on for the big 3, a lot of people are, okay, it's rebuild time, but I think rebuilding is a little bit different than straight up just tanking and praying for the first overall pick. That to me is ridiculous. Like, we've seen teams, aka Philadelphia 76ers, just be like, all right, we're not playing these guys. We're losing this game. I'm not doing that. No way in hell. But if I'm trading Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, I am getting not only draft compensation, but I'm getting players that can actually play now. I'm getting players that can actually help win games. Sure, the Bulls will be worse. They're not going to make the playoffs probably, but I would like to see this team at least in the play-in tournament every single season, even if you trade the big three. Like, that's where I'm at. It's about this big free agent offseason you've been talking about. I'll go over this again. 2024, man. I don't know why people aren't looking at this. This is a humongous offseason. This is huge. This Bulls team needs to be in on a lot of these guys. Pascal Siakam, I think, is like, the ideal guy, but who knows? I don't really know how legit that is, but I also know that some people don't want to play in Canada. But Jaylen Brown and DeJounte Murray are two guys that are going to be free agents in this offseason, and they have to go through the free agency process, okay? They have to. Reason being is that for them to get a max contract that they're going to be seeking, they must go through free agency. They must. They have to. It's very similar to Zach LaVine's situation where a lot of Bulls fans are like, why don't we just extend LaVine? Well, if you try to extend a guy that is not making that much money, you can only give him 175% of his previous contract. And with Jaylen Brown, he's not making max money. So he has to go through free agency no matter what. DeJounte Murray is getting paid like $19 million a year, and this dude's an all-defensive team guy, and he's an all-star, and has turned it into a very good player. They have to go through free agency. They just straight up have to. So, in my opinion, this Bulls team should be in those two guys' ears the entire offseason. I don't care what it like. I don't care what you have to do. Like, even if you have to tamper, do it. I honestly don't care. You gotta be talking to these guys immediately. And I don't know about Jaylen Brown. I don't think Jaylen Brown is that realistic because I don't see Boston going anywhere anytime soon. He probably just wants to go back and play with Jason Tatum. But I can for sure see DeJounte Murray coming here. I can see that happening immediately. So that's who I would target. I would also target Pascal if possible. Who knows about that? But yeah, I think that's the guy that I would personally look at first. Is like, if there is a possibility, like Jaylen Brown's my number one guy. I don't think that's that realistic. Who knows though? But then I would get DeJounte because I think that's a very, very possible guy that you can go get. But there's other guys on this list. Fred VanVleet. I know he's going to be 30, but obviously still a good player. Domantas Sabonis. Like, there are guys in 2024. I think it's huge for people to see that this Bulls team is still a competent team, still building something in the right way, and not just a team that is looking to straight out tank and pray and hope that they get a lottery pick that somehow falls in their favor that is a first or second overall pick. I don't think that's going to happen. This is the reason why. Free agents should want to come here. They should. And this is how you do it, is that you're actually a competent team. I don't know why people are so obsessed with tanking, and I understand this year it's a little bit heightened because of Wembanyama, but if your team is, kind of in that mediocre area, I personally would not tank. I know a lot of people are like, you're stuck in purgatory, and I get it, but I think that good drafting, no matter where the heck your pick is more valuable than tanking and praying to the gods, the basketball gods, that you fall to the top, or you get the top pick or the second pick. The Warriors, for example, they never had a top 5 pick until James Wiseman, right? But you look at the rest of that team. I know Andrew Bogut was a part of that team. He was the first overall pick, but they didn't draft him. But Steph Curry 7, Klay Thompson 11, Draymond Green 32. Like, good drafting is, in my opinion, better than tanking and hoping you get the good draft pick. That's where I stand right now. I know the Bulls don't have their 2023 pick. I know it's not in full control. The Bulls should get that Portland pick this season. I mean, that should be somewhere, but you can still find value in every draft, even if you don't have the top 3 picks. There's always value. So that's my whole spiel about this Bulls team and potentially tanking. I personally think it's a horrible idea. I know that there's issues with this Bulls roster. I'm even as a Levine fan, I admit it. But just because that this Bulls team is not perfect doesn't mean, hey, let's strip it all down. All right, enough of that talk. I'll get to the Ringer article in a second here. I need to blow my nose. I know it's been an issue the past couple of streams, but give me a second here, guys. All right. Last time we've got a good lottery pick that became productive quick was 13 to 12 years ago, Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose. Yep. Even Noah wasn't a top 5 pick, right? And remember, when the Bulls got Derrick, they didn't have the best lottery odds, right? I think they had the 8th best odds. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But maybe it was the 9th best. But either way, it shows you that, whoever the heck had the worst season that year, they didn't get Derrick. Ninth pick for Noah, yeah. And what was Deng drafted at? Was he 3? Oh, he was 7. Oh yeah, never mind. I don't even know. He was the worst team standing wise in the NBA, 15-67, and they drafted Beasley, right? Is that's correct? Just think about that for a second, right? The Miami Heat didn't get Derrick. They had the worst team. They drafted Michael Beasley. Should they have gotten the first overall pick? Yeah, but I mean, this is what happens when the lottery's in play, right? You're not guaranteed it, and now it's even less of a chance that you're guaranteed it. This is the reason why I don't care that the Bulls have its top 4 protected for their pick. I understand that people are aware of this, but in my opinion, man, there is no way I am taking the rest of this season and praying to the Lord that we somehow get the first overall pick, and then also have to be praying that we don't fall outside the top 4. Like, no shot. I don't get it. If you I said it, like, if you actually want to tank, but if you actually want this Bulls team to tank, it happens in the following season when the Bulls have full control of their pick. Okay, it's not going to happen now, but it still, though, in my opinion, there's no reason. I don't see it. I truly don't. I still think this Bulls team is making the playoffs. I know it's a first round exit. I'm aware, especially because Lonzo Ball, I swear to God, is never going to play again. But this whole idea of, like, okay, we need to just pray. Like, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to go well. Like, here's the thing. Like, let's say we get Victor Wembanyama, okay? There are so many things that still have to go right after getting Wembanyama. Like, I don't think people understand that, right? Obviously, Wembanyama has to turn out to be the guy, which, you know, I think he's going to be great. But after that, you still need to have another bad season in a row and get another top pick and draft the right guy. Like, there's all these different things that you have no control over. In my opinion, this Bulls team, with the amount of resources that they have, I know Reinsdorf's still the owner, and I hate being a fan of a Reinsdorf-owned team, but still, they have a big market working in their favor. They should have three young guys right now that are good options to use for rebuilding and or, you know, cornerstones for the future. Maybe not superstars, but at least P. Will, in my opinion, is going to be a two-way all-star. And I think Io is very, very good. And to me, it looks like Mike Conley. It just straight up looks like him again. And that's obviously a very solid player. And I think Dalen Terry is going to be good too. But there has to be so many things that have to go right if this Bulls team is going to tank the rest of the season, tank then the next season, and tank the year after that. There has to be everything goes right for this team to then start moving forward into the right direction. No shot, man. No shot. So, I'm probably gonna make a video on this too, but I'll quickly go through this article, which I just think, man, it's one of the weirdest, a really weird article that I really don't think shows the whole picture. Okay, so yeah, and start. All right, Bulls weird season, Celtics and wins over the Celtics and Bucks, but AK accelerated the track, which the Bulls were already on. Which again, I don't know what this is saying. The Bulls were on no track. Okay, the Bulls, with Wendell Carter Jr., with Larry Markkanen, with Kobe White, they were not on a track. Okay, they were going nowhere. Like, I know that Wendell Carter Jr. right now looks better than Nikola Vucevic, and I would agree with that statement right now if you want to argue with it. But Wendell Carter Jr. is not a cornerstone. If he was, then Paolo Banchero is not, looked at as a cornerstone for the Magic, right? Like, the Magic have a cornerstone in Banchero. They do not have a cornerstone in Wendell Carter Jr. So there's no reason to keep Wendell around if you have to wait for him to reach his potential, which, think about it, what's his potential? Al Horford? Right? It's not high. Larry Markkanen, I think the dude has potential to be a good scorer in this league, but what is he though? I don't think he's becoming the next Dirk. He's not going to be a franchise cornerstone. I think he's a very solid player that is very limited on defense, right? He can basically just score and rebound. Like, it's not, and he's not scoring at a rate where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a dude that can average, 25 per game in the NBA, right? There's no reason to wait on him, okay? And the year that AK was brought in was Markkanen's last year of his rookie contract. Kobe White, again, Um, Kobe White, like, he was his rookie season, he was coming off the bench. His second season, he was starting, and then was shoved to the bench by Billy Donovan. He's not going anywhere, right? He's not becoming a star. So, like, this whole argument the Bulls were on a track of going in the right direction with that core makes no sense whatsoever. Like, I don't care what you have to say. The only thing that they had was Patrick Williams, and that was because AK drafted him. Like, it's just, it makes no sense that this article's saying that the Bulls were on a track. They were on a track. Like, there was no track. So, they accelerated the track of the Bulls of getting Vucevic and DeRozan. You traded Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks for Vooch. And so far, it's gotten you to a playoff appearance against the Bucks, and 19 games you're in this season, you're 8-11. Like, okay, what's your point? Like, this wasn't the move that gets this team to the promised land. This was a move to make this team win. Like, an actual winning team. This Bulls team hasn't won in 5 seasons. Like, you can't be like, okay, well, this is depressing. I'm like, okay, but the Bulls wanted to win. I don't care if you're saying that the Bulls, first round exit, this season's off to a bad start. Like, okay, but how about the Bulls just actually got to be a winning team? They weren't that, and they weren't going to be that with the team that they currently had. So you go out and you get DeRozan, and you finally have a winning season. You win 46 games. You're 46-36, and now he's like, okay, the window with DeRozan for this Bulls team is closed. I'm like, what's your point? If there was no window with DeRozan, in my opinion. Like, I don't think there ever was a window with DeRozan. Look, man, I love DeRozan, but either way, with DeRozan, I don't see much of a window. And when the Bulls got DeRozan, I'm just like, okay, this is just to literally help this team now. It's not. He's not here to be a cornerstone for the future, right? He's already in his 30s. He's gonna start declining at some point. He wasn't gonna be here for the championship team whenever it is assembled, right? And I know people are saying that, well, is there ever gonna be a championship team assembled? Like, okay, that if you don't think there is, then fine. But either way, in my opinion, whether the Bulls get rid of DeRozan or they just keep him until he starts declining, I don't see him being a champion on the championship team or on the team that is actually looking to become the next winning team. And let's be honest with ourselves. AK, what he said in all of his press conferences, he's been very, very, very truthful. He's been saying that this Bulls team last season should have made the playoffs. They did. This season, he wants them to take another step forward. He is not saying, let's win the Eastern Conference. That's not what he said. That's not the expectation. He thinks that it's going to take time, and this team is moving, hopefully, in the right direction, but they're not winning. They're not winning the East. He didn't say that. He probably wants them to get into the second round, but I personally don't see that with Ball being out. Okay, so now this article is like, this Bulls team should tank. I'm like, why would they do such a thing? Finishing with one of the 3 worst records in the league would guarantee a 52.1% chance to keep that pick. What? 52%? You're betting on this. Why would you bet on this? There's no reason to bet on 52%. Like, not only is it like you have already a bad chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, like, this is horrible. That's basically flipping your coin on if you get to keep your pick or not. So 538 says, yeah, or Basketball Reference, like 40% chance of making the playoffs. Ceiling isn't good enough. Yeah, I'm aware the ceiling isn't good enough. I agree that this Bulls team is not good enough to win the championship. But I also think that's exactly what AK has been saying. I did not think this was the team to win the championship. I really did not. So, Lonzo Ball's broken. Patrick Williams closes games. Again, this is not AK's fault. Lonzo Ball is just broken. I honestly don't know if he's ever going to play again at this point. But this is not an AK. Okay? 23-year-old Carter is straight up better than Vucevic. Okay, if you want to argue that, sure. I might agree with you on this one. And honestly, I do. But the Orlando Magic aren't exactly winning. And now he's automatically saying Franz Wagner, future All-Star. I think Franz Wagner has a good future, but how many times did we think that Lauri Markkanen was going to be an All-Star in Chicago? Like, how many times? I don't care if Franz Wagner is is off to a good start in his career. There's no guarantee he becomes an All-Star. And even if it's an All-Star, is he actually a cornerstone? Like, this argument, like, okay, he's a future All-Star in this league. I mean, all right, sure, but is Franz Wagner actually going to be the guy on this Magic team? Paolo Banchero is going to be the guy on that Magic team. Let's be real. It's not going to be Franz Wagner. So, talks about, there is some potential light at the end of the tunnel for the Bulls. Levine, obviously, and his health is kind of looking a little bit better. Hopefully, Ball hopefully is gonna be playable and actually able to play again. So the Bulls, their shot making is just shows that they've faced some bad luck to start the season. But we're actually seeing that. So the opponents are hitting 37.4% of their threes, and the Bulls definitely had a rough stretch when it came to the 3-point defense. But he also says that the team is a higher heavy. The only other team that has a higher heavy contest rate on threes is the Heat. Okay, so that's that. It just shows you that this Bulls team has faced good 3-point shooting teams to start the season. I think that this article is overall making a horribly dumb argument. If this article is like, okay, it's time to break up these 3 players, which he talks about in this part, I would agree. But to me, it's like that's a whole different discussion than saying let's tank this season. I apologize about the bots. I don't know what's going on here. All right, let me catch up on chat here. Okay, Magugula, I see. I remember arguing with Clippers fans saying Carter is better than Nikola. Like Nikola's 20 points per game, 10 rebounds guy, more talented than Wendell. But Bro kept getting mad. I was telling him his team's best 2 players are injury prone. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Clippers have not had good luck with those 2 players. A playoff team would be more satisfying than a rebuilding team that couldn't go anywhere. Yes, that I totally agree with. It's a combination of players anyway. We all know that the Bulls have a plan. Each player fits into that plan. We'll see about that. I'm interested to see what AK's plan actually is. Mark Eversley and AK have made it very clear, though, that this is a step-by-step process. This isn't something that is going to happen overnight or happen in one off-season, right? Like, it's going to take a lot of steps for this Bulls team to become a championship caliber team. But it's not just going to happen in one off-season. They've been clear with that. Mark Eversley said that at the last on draft night, this past draft night, or this last offseason's draft night. He said that. Wendell is just not okay with us. He literally said in an interview that he was starting to have confidence issues soft. I mean, look, I like Wendell, but yeah, he had confidence issues here. He clearly was not going to succeed here. But at the end of my day, my argument is he's not a cornerstone. Like, I don't care that he's doing better than Vucevic right now. Like, okay, I understand if you're upset about the trade, and yeah, the trade looks worse and worse every single day. I get it. But like people that are arguing that the Bulls, gave up like a future All-Star in Wendell, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I don't see Wendell being a cornerstone for that Magic team or anywhere he goes. Honestly, he's a good supporting caliber starter. Like he's a solid overall player, but he's gonna be like what, the 5th best starter on a championship caliber team. He may not even start. It just doesn't make much sense to me what people are saying. I'm not sure about that, Duncan. You put the right players around DeMar, and that could be a championship team. I think they can make it work. I think my biggest issue is that if you're gonna do that, it's gonna take a bit for the Bulls to get to that point. I guess I could see a team with that, but I think DeMar has to be your second scorer. I don't think DeMar can be your go-to guy and your best player on a championship caliber team. I think he has to be the second best player. I could definitely see him on a championship caliber team and being one of the best guys, but I don't know if he's going to be the guy. And right now on this Bulls team, because of Levine's not 100% health, he's the guy right now. And you're seeing how limited this Bulls team is with DeMar being the guy. Good for him for feeling like a better player down there, better stats, but he's the same player just on a worse team. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Wendell is doing great in Orlando. Like, don't get me wrong. He's putting up career highs. His confidence is back. Guess what? The Magic aren't winning. And they're still not winning. Like, the team that just had the first overall pick is still not winning. And I know Ben Chiaro's been out. But, like, this is my point. Like, I don't care that Wendell is doing great in Orlando right now. Like, great, awesome. But is it actually leading to wins? Is he actually going to be the franchise cornerstone or one of the cornerstones? No. He's just there to be there. He got paid a decent chunk of money. Congrats to him. But he's not the guy in Orlando. He's never going to be the guy in Orlando. And he's not going to be the guy on any team, in my opinion. This team is championship ready. El Trapo, I disagree with you on that. Do you think are you saying that this core right now is championship ready, or do you think that the Bulls need to make some moves? And some of the guys on this team are championship ready? Because I don't think this team's championship ready at all. If you keep Wendell, you're going to have to put somebody around him anyway, which is a better player right now. I don't necessarily think that you surround Wendell with talent. I think Wendell is a person that you take and surround better players with. I don't think you surround Wendell with anybody though. Like, I would not make decisions around Wendell Carter Jr. They keep beating the top teams. Okay. But championship caliber teams also beat the bad teams too. I know that they beat the Boston Celtics twice. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think that them beating good teams is going to continue, or it's not sustainable to the point that they're doing. I can see them getting some more a couple more wins against some of the top echelon teams in the league, but I don't know. I might have told you this earlier. You assess your needs early. You adjust them at the trade. You adjust them at the trade deadline. What do you mean by that, Marvin? Because this team obviously has a lot more needs than just 3-point shooting, in my opinion. Like, I think for this team, if we're saying like, okay, a championship caliber team for this Bulls team, like they need an actual superstar on their roster. They need to get better defensively and get better defenders. They need to get more rebounding, and they need to get more 3-point shooting. Like that's a lot of needs for a team if you're trying to say that they're ready to contend, right? like, still though, even with all these needs, like I've been saying, like I'm happy that the Bulls went out and got talent and are ready to hopefully take the next step into getting better talent, right? Like you get talent first, you'll worry about the rest. But this Bulls team right now, with the talent assembled, in my opinion, is not ready to contend. And here's the thing, like I know everyone's like, when it comes to like Zach, you know, a lot of Bulls fans hate Zach right now, and I understand, but Zach LaVine, him getting a max contract does not mean he's a superstar. It means he's an all-star. It means that he's a guy that can be like a second or third best player on a championship caliber team. I never have said that Zach LaVine should be the guy on a championship caliber team. But that just because that we don't have a superstar right now doesn't mean, in my opinion, that we need to start getting rid of Zach. Again, if a trade comes up where it's like, you know, a team's offering us 4 first-round picks and also a lot of solid players in return for Zach, oh yeah, I'm making that deal immediately. But just overall, like, I don't think it's just, hey, let's just trade Zach just to get him off the roster because he's not the guy. I'm like, yeah, he's not supposed to be the guy. So, at the end of the day, I'm just saying, don't tank. We're not tanking. Okay. I know Wembanyama is enticing, but I think there's no reason to start tanking this season. If you watch every win we have against top competition, we're not far away. I will not be surprised if we win one of these games against Golden State or Phoenix. I won't be surprised either, but that doesn't mean that I trust that this team's going to beat a Golden State or Phoenix in a 7-game series. That's just one game. I understand that this team has had some good wins. I'm very much aware, but again, I'm not taking this Bulls team over a Phoenix Suns or a Golden State Warriors team in the playoffs in a 7-game series. No shot. I can, I can see this Bulls team do better than last season in the playoffs. Like, whether that's extending the first round series to 6 or 7 games, or maybe making it past the first round. I don't see that this Bulls team's making it past the first round without Lonzo, though, and I just don't think Lonzo's ever going to be healthy this season. So maybe they make it past the first round, but their record isn't helping right now because they're losing against bad teams. And for this Bulls team, in my opinion, without Lonzo, for me to give them a chance in the first round, I think they have to be at least a 5 seed, and I don't see that happening right now, at least. Who knows? It could change. I know Marvin, like, yeah, I know you've been like very optimistic with this team, but like, I'm not so sure that we have all the assets needed to offer a decent trade to get a player that could help us get to the conference finals. I would overall agree with you that right now that we don't have that, but after this season, we have only 1 pick going out, and we have 1 pick coming in, obviously, but that cancels out this year. So I think after this season, though, we're gonna have the assets again. And here's the thing, y'all. Like, I maybe this is something that Bulls fans haven't really thought of. So after this season, okay, So the Bulls have one more pick going out, which is the pick to San Antonio Spurs in 2025. Okay. So we have 2024, 2025's top 10 protected, okay? But that's the only one going out after this draft in 2023. We have all these picks after that, okay? This is the reason why I'm like, we don't trade Zach just for picks. Like, we can trade Zach LaVine with and package all these picks for the next guy, right? Or trade DeMar, package all these picks with the next guy, like, or for the next guy. Like, I'm aware that, you know, it's also like, okay, well, you also give up one of your better pieces, but if you're trading, you know, Zach plus something for a superstar, you do it. And I don't think the Bulls are like after next season or after the season. Like, I think that they're very capable of doing such a thing. Obviously, it's hard to get a superstar, but that's for trading, right? But in the end, I'm looking at 2024 free agency where I'm looking to load up an even more talent to potentially either keep or, you know, potentially move on from them and use them to get better players. That's what I mean by trade deadline, Duncan. We're not far off. This Bulls team is not much different than Boston. How did Boston start last year? I'm aware how Boston started, but Boston, even though that they struggled last season to start out of the gate, they still had a superstar in Jason Tatum. Like, the Bulls don't have that right now. If you're arguing, Marvin, like, if you think that the Bulls could trade like a Zach or trade DeMar or whatever now and get a superstar, like, okay, I can see where you're saying now, but I don't see that happening. I had enough. Let's go for LeBron. LeBron is not a superstar anymore, in my opinion. I know that I see that Cisco's salty, and I'm also kind of salty too with the whole 2010 free agency, that all that stuff. But yeah. Sorry, one sec, y'all. No, you do not trade DeMar. Okay, yeah, but then all right, let's trade Zach. Like, if you're saying that this Bulls team is a trade away, then you have to go get a superstar for me to even say, like, yeah, this Bulls team is a trade away. Like, you know, a simple trade of just moving Vucevic for whatever, like, I don't, even if it's an upgrade, I don't think it's enough, right? Like, even if the Bulls went out and got Rudy Gobert this past offseason, I don't think it's enough. Tatum is not much better than DeMar. Brown is not much better than Zach. I disagree with Tatum is not much better than DeMar. I think Jason Tatum is arguably a top 5 player right now in the NBA. I think DeMar is like closer to, you know, 17 through 25. And, you know, those rankings get exponentially higher. Like, it's not, you know, oh, he's only 12 away from being a top 5 player or whatever. Like, that's a significant difference, in my opinion. Brown is not much better than Zach. I would agree with you on that statement. I think Jaylen Brown's a little bit overrated. And I do think that Zach is still overall underrated, but I mean, he hasn't gotten off to a great start this season. But get Taiwan superstar Dwight Howard, yeah. Dwight Howard's running point out there, man. It's funny to watch, but he's doing great. Again, tanking is just, to me, out of the window. We're down one draft pick after this season. Bulls have assets. DeMar is still under contract. LaVine, obviously, I know people will think that the LaVine contract's gonna hurt. I straight up disagree. That LaVine contract's gonna be extremely tradable. Come a couple of seasons, and I think it's honestly very tradable now. People think that we paid him supermax. Like, if you've seen supermax money, you would be shutting up right now about LaVine's contract. Not to mention, the salary cap's going up every year, so I just don't want to hear it. LaVine can be traded easily. So look, Marvin, I disagree with you on the Tatum and DeMar comparison. I think Jason Tatum's like a lot better than DeRozan. If you think that this team's a trade away, sure, go get Kevin Durant. Like, I think that right now that's like the only superstar that's available that I could see the Bulls potentially go getting. I don't see it happening at this trade deadline, but maybe in the offseason, if it's like, okay, we're gonna keep DeMar, let's trade Zach, let's trade all of our picks, right? That could potentially entice the Brooklyn Nets. I could actually see that. But I wouldn't bet on it. I personally wouldn't. And trading for a superstar, I feel like it's extremely difficult right now because the value for these guys are so high. DeJounte Murray as an all-star, first-time all-star, he's obviously a good player. He was traded for 3 first-round picks. So if DeJounte Murray's traded for 3 first-round picks, then like superstars, they better be traded, for every pick that the team that is trading for or that is trading for them has. Like, we talked about, or also another example, Rudy Gobert. He's not a superstar in my opinion. Disagree with that if you want. With that if you want to. But Rudy Gobert is an all-star. He was traded for what? 5 first-round picks if you count the swaps. Like, it's a ridiculous amount. So if Rudy Gobert's being traded for 5, like, what is Kevin Durant or what is a superstar gonna be traded for? So when people were talking about like a trade for Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns, like Phoenix would have to give up, and they own all their picks. They would have to give up every single one of their picks that they could trade every other year because of the Stepien rule, and then trade or swap all the other picks that aren't tradable, and probably have to do a 3-team trade where they get more picks to send over to Brooklyn. Like, that's how hard it is to trade for a superstar. So I understand if you're saying that the Bulls are like a trade away from, like a superstar trade away from being that team, sure. But I just don't see how the Bulls can trade for a superstar right now. Would love the team to go all in for Brandon Ingram in the future, probably DeMar plus a lot of picks. I'd be down for that. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of BI, but I think the issue with BI too is like, is he a superstar? Probably not. Is he an all-star? For sure. Yeah. And if I'm trading DeMar for Brandon Ingram, I would do that. Yeah. I want to pull up ESPN's top 100 NBA. Like, let's just go through the rankings of like who do we think is available. Steph Curry's not going anywhere. Okay, Joel Embiid, maybe we'll see, but right now he's not going anywhere. A few seasons from now, I could see him being potentially traded. Luka, he's not going anywhere. Jokic, he just resigned, and Giannis is obviously not going anywhere. Okay, so like out of the top 5, Embiid, maybe, but very, very doubtful. I seriously don't see that happening anytime soon. So number 10 is Devin Booker. I don't know if I would consider him a superstar though. Ja Morant is a superstar right now. He's not going anywhere. Kevin Durant is, I think, right now the most available superstar. Jason Tatum, he's not going anywhere. LeBron, I don't think is a superstar anymore. I think he's not even top 10 player at this point. No disrespect to him, but Father Time's catching up. Okay, so again, it's hard to even like say like who is a superstar, who's not. So James Harden, he's not going anywhere right now. Kawhi's a superstar, but he just can't stay healthy. Cat, if you want to consider Cat a superstar, I can understand that argument. I'm sorry if my camera's freezing. I'm seeing that right now. But it's gonna take a bit for him to come or get traded anywhere. Lillard, I would consider a superstar, but maybe that's the guy if you're talking about for the Bulls, where they go out and get a star point guard or a superstar point guard. Maybe okay. So I'm starting to see what you're saying, Marvin. If you're trying to make this argument of like the Bulls are a superstar trade away, and they want to start trading for some of these guys, right? Paul George, he's not going anywhere though. He just resigned. Trae Young's not going anywhere. Jimmy Butler's not going anywhere. Shocked that Rudy Gobert is this high. Bradley Beal, okay, maybe, but would you even consider Beal a superstar? That's a tough one. Chris Paul's not a superstar at this point. Jaylen Brown's an all-star, not a superstar. Bam Adebayo. Like, we're at the point now where I'm seeing all-stars. And I know Donovan Mitchell's got off to such a great start this season, but I don't consider him a superstar. I think Mitchell's a very good all-star and a very good player, but I don't see him as being a superstar. So I understand. I guess where you're coming from now, Marvin. I can see what you're trying to say. So Drew Holiday, they had 26. Zach's 27. DeMar's 28. Brandon Ingram's 29. Pascal's 30. Like, these guys are just all-stars, right? Marcus Smart's Defensive Player of the Year. Cade Cunningham is out for the rest of the season. Like, we're just getting to guys that potential to be this good. Shock Zion's this low. Zion should be higher. Bulls need to invest into a good center. Yes, they do. I'm not sure who exactly that is. I'm always going to come back to this, but 2024. I'm personally a big fan of Nicholas Claxton. I know he's not really that great of a player overall because of his lack of offensive game, but Claxton is a very good defender. I think he fits into this Bulls system very well. That'd kind of be my guy. But when it comes to like, good centers that also play defense, like the biggest issue right now, I think, or one of the biggest issues I should say is Vooch not being like a competent defender. Like, I'm not saying even a good defender. I'm saying just a competent defender. Like it causes a lot of issues with this Bulls team. But to find a center that is at least competent on defense, but is also good on offense is, I think, tough to find. So guy like Cat is obviously someone I'd like. But even a guy like Domantas Sabonis, like I would have some concerns with him playing the center position because he's just not that good defensively. He's better than Vooch in my opinion, but I don't know how good he is defensively overall, and I would be concerned to say the least. So, guy like Valanciunas, maybe? I like Valanciunas. I think he's actually a little bit better defensively than what he gets credit for. So who knows? He's available. Yeah, I don't know. And I will say that I wouldn't be shocked if Vooch is traded at this trade deadline that's coming up because, one, I don't think he wants... Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Vooch wants to go into free agency and, like, I want to go to a team that's going to pay me more and pay me to be one of the top guys on the team. And I don't know if the Bulls just want to let him go for free, right? So I wouldn't be shocked to see him traded. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because of the Drummond deal. I think Drummond kind of fits what this Bulls team kind of needs at that center position. Someone that isn't going to demand the ball too much, is athletic, can move very well, is obviously, pretty decent defensively. He's obviously not great, but he rebounds the ball at a very high rate. He brings at least some sort of rim protection, but more importantly, he brings mobility. So I think that's kind of what the Bulls are looking for. So I just wouldn't be shocked if Vooch is traded at the trade deadline because they have Drummond to be there to be the star. Not saying Drummond's going to play 36 minutes per game at that point. He probably plays like around 28. But then the Bulls have to go and find a backup center. I like Derrick Jones Jr., but I can't live him being the backup center for the entire season. That'd be an issue. We developed Kostas till he becomes an all-star. After that, we lure Giannis in. I know a lot of Bulls fans are like, saying that the Kostas thing was because of Giannis. I honestly think Kostas can just be a very solid player in this league. Probably not a starter, but a backup big, athletic. He can play multiple positions. He rebounds the ball extremely well. Good rim protector. Thing is that he just needs reps, in my opinion. The reason I said BI was because I feel like getting him gets us closer to positionless basketball. Zoe, Zach, BIP will switchable big. I totally agree. Yeah, I would love BI on this team. But yeah, for that to work, obviously, like you mentioned, there needs to be a switchable big. That team would remind me a lot of the Boston Celtics, right? A lot of guys that are like 6'5" or higher or taller. A lot of switching. But then you would need you need a good rim protector that's also a switchable big. In their case, like Robert Williams, And I know people would be like worried about Zach and BI defensively. Like I honestly wouldn't. Like I think Zach is actually like an okay defender. I think BI, like they say he's not a defender, but I think he actually does play good defense too. So I think the Pelicans team as a whole has some issues defensively though, because they're gonna start having the issues like the Bulls are gonna have, which is like their top players aren't defensive guys, right? CJ McCollum, not a defender. Zion, I think people think Zion's a defender, but if you watch Zion, like the dude does not play on-ball defense. He just cares about on the help defense and getting and blocking shots, which are overall great, but like, it's awesome to see, but is he actually, impacting defense? I would argue no. I don't think he's really that much of a rim protector because there's a big difference between just, a guy that comes in and blocks a shot versus a guy that can actually change shots at the rim. I look at a guy like Evan Mobley, for example, that doesn't always block shots, but the dude, he'll change a ton of shots at the rim. So there's that. And then BI, which I think BI is, again, I think he's actually a better defender than what people give him credit for, but he's not going to be, locking up the opposing team's best player every night. So I do think that the Pelicans, like, they have all this talent, but they're going to start having issues with what the Bulls are going to have had, which is that your top three players, they're not great defenders, or they're not known for having or playing good defense. Zach has significantly improved on the defensive end this year. Honestly impressed at how much better he is. Not gonna lie, I totally agree. Yeah, I think Zach has really improved. I mean, the dude, maybe I don't know how it is after this game, but before this game, he was averaging the best defensive rating of his career. It splits. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. I just saw this. I don't know why I can't show every single season. All right, so his defensive rating right now is 109.8. That just went up again this after this game. But so last season, I think it was actually lower last season. Could be wrong. But like either way, like I've always no. Okay, see, like his defensive rating last season was 113. And people thought he was playing good last season. I just think with Zach, like his obvious strength on defense is on ball. Like people don't understand that. I don't know why people don't understand. Like Zach's on ball defense has always been solid throughout his career, but his off ball defense and like his ability to pick up on defensive rotations and being in the right spot on the rotations is where he absolutely struggles. And he has, it seems like he's lost out there. This season to start, he's definitely been better, especially when he's playing weak side and is the first guy to come on over on the rotation. He's done a lot better job of that. But his on-ball defense has just been something I'm like, I think Zach's on-ball defense has been good. It's not all NBA or all defensive team worthy, but it's been solid throughout his career, and I think it's just been getting better. It's just it's the off ball that I'm like I have a big issue with Zach. It's which again, if you think about it, like a team typically has one of the guys on their roster that is not that great defensively, and is supposed to be like low activity on the defensive end. The issue right now for the Bulls is that they have DeMar and Zach, and both those guys should be your low activity defenders, and it sucks that only one of them can be the low activity guy. So it's important that, in my opinion, that the Bulls actually put Zach on like a guy that is going to handle the ball a lot more. But you're seeing that that Billy uses Zach as like the guy guarding the shooter. Which is like I don't like that. I think Zach should actually be guarding someone that handles the ball, but they don't do that, right? So that's one of the issues with this whole Zach and DeMar combination is that they're both supposed to be guys that are low activity defenders, and only one can be that guy on the floor, and that's the reason why we're seeing like. So let's just go to Bulls lineups. No, that's not it. Is this it? Maybe this is it. Yeah, okay. Like, let's just take 2-player lineups. Zach and Levine and DeRozan right now, they're a -2 on the court together. That number has gone off recently. They started the season at like -7. Okay, so either way though, it's not great, right? It has to be better. And when you look at the advanced stats here, right now Zach and DeRozan -5 net rating. Their defensive rating is 112. Like that's not good. That needs to be better, right? But you look at the three. If you look at the 3 players, the big 3 together, right? You got DeRozan, you have Vucevic, and Levine, which is this one. They're a -4.6. Okay, their defensive rating again it's 112. It's just bad. Now the other thing is this: it's not just like to look at like it's not just like Zach's the issue or DeRozan's the issue. It's like you're seeing it, even when you put guys like that are good defenders next to these guys, like Ayo Dosunmu, like their defensive rating is still horrible, right? It's a -9 net rating. P. Will, this is obviously better, but their offensive rating sucks, so it doesn't exactly help. So you put Galliax Caruso next to them, though, it goes up. But so either way, though, like you're not exactly seeing like perfect, like good net ratings if you take one of those guys off, right? It doesn't matter who's out there if you just have 2 of them out there. the defense still kind of suffers. Obviously, these don't matter. So what I typically do with stuff like this is like I go to minutes and I do greater than or equal to like 25 minutes together. So DeRozan, Andre Drummond, and Green have out of at least lineups that play 25 minutes or more together. They have a great net rating, right? And it's just 3-man lineups, right? Levine with the second unit has been great as well. But you're kind of seeing, though, that it's when one of them is on the court together, right? You're seeing this one, just DeRozan. It's just DeRozan. It's just Vucevic. It's just DeRozan, right? Just Vucevic. Just Vucevic. This one's not. It doesn't even have any of the big three. Just DeRozan. Just DeRozan. Just DeRozan. Just Zach. It's so mind-boggling, and like we'll raise this to like, let's just raise this to 50. Like you're gonna see here. It's still the same thing. Vucevic, just DeRozan. Like that's the issue with these guys. It's like the best lineups are when only one of them's out there on the court, right? Billy might be trying to train Zach and becoming a better defender. I think they've been doing that for ever since Billy has gotten here. I honestly think Zach's taking it upon himself to become a better defender, but I still think like when you're taught wrong initially, like it's just ingrained into your head, like, oh, I don't have to be watching the opposing team right now, or I don't have to be in position right now. Like I just think it's like Zach's just been trained, to not be a good defender, so it's hard for him to get rid of that bad habit. I think that they're trying all that they can. Yeah. I think Zach is definitely becoming more aware off ball, but he still needs to get better. There's still a lot of room to improve. I think you basing your thoughts on Lonzo not playing this year. I feel like he's going to play. I think he can be a difference maker. Then you address one more piece of the trade deadline. Lonzo Ball is not a superstar, and he's not even an all-star. So I'm even with Lonzo. All right, I'll say this: with Lonzo Ball fully healthy on this team, I think he is a difference maker. But I think it's basically the difference between the Bulls being a first-round exit and them being a second-round exit. I don't see them going very far, even if Lonzo Ball is on this team. Now, if you're going to say that Lonzo Ball is healthy and that this Bulls team needs to go and make another move, sure. But I would still argue that it has to be a superstar that pushes them to being actual title contender. And that is going to have to involve trading one of Levine or DeRozan. And having Ball there would help, because he's a great player to surround your superstar with. Like, by the way, so I don't know what the Bulls' plans are for the future, but I would not be opposed to, let's say Io does become like a Mike Conley, and he starts at point guard. And I'm saying like this is like a few years down the road. And Ball, let's say he somehow comes back healthy and is actually still able to play. In a few years down the road, and one of Zach or DeRozan's here. Like, just saying, I wouldn't be opposed to start Ball at the 2 or 3. I think that's a good thing to do. However, Lonzo's an All-NBA defensive first-team-esque player. Yeah, that he is, but that doesn't exactly fix everything with this Bulls team. Like, a superstar would come in and improve the three-point shooting, improve this offense, which has been horrible to start the season. Yeah. Was there an NBA team that won the championship without a superstar? Just curious. I personally, like, the one team that I can always think of is just the 2004 Pistons, right? Chauncey Billups won Finals MVP. That team was just very, very solid, right? They had a lot of good players. Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, just all these very, very good players, and they beat the Lakers. But that's the only team, in my opinion. The Spurs, like, people argue the 2014 Spurs. I personally would disagree because I still think Tim Duncan was still a superstar, even though he was declining. But I just think that you need to have superstar talent to win, especially now. Especially also, like, the super team era is also, like, it looks like it's starting to, die out a little bit. And for you to, like, that, I guess, opens up a little bit more parity in the league where, like, you could win without a superstar. But I just think now you're seeing so many teams that kind of have, like, 2 all-stars at the very minimum, that to put you over the top, you need at least one of them to be a superstar. Lonzo Ball healthy last year, and the Chicago Bulls were the number 1 seed. They have a better team now with Lonzo coming back. I don't understand your logic. I believe it's only because you haven't seen Lonzo with this team. I'm not disagreeing. I just think they're headed in the right direction if he's healthy. I agree that I think that if he's healthy, they're heading in the right direction. I just don't think that they're heading very far in that right direction. Marvin, let me ask you. Even if Lonzo Ball stays healthy all of last season, are the Bulls the number 1 seed? Because I personally think they weren't going to be. I could see them being a top 4 seed last season if Lonzo Ball stayed healthy, but I don't see them. I did not see them being the number 1 seed or number 2 seed. No, they have a better team this year. I agree that the team is better this season, but I don't think that this team has improved enough for them to be, even if Lonzo Ball is healthy, for them to be a championship caliber team. This season, but so Marvin, don't you think that the other rest of the Eastern Conference teams have gotten better as well? So the Bulls have, if let's say Lonzo's healthy, and I think the Bulls got better. I don't think that they got a lot better though. But the Boston Celtics, they added Malcolm Brogdon, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've added an all-star in Donovan Mitchell, right? I'm trying. Joel Embiid and crew. They added Daniel House. They got PJ Tucker. Like the teams that I already had ahead of the Bulls, or some of the teams I should say, they got better. So yes, this Bulls team may have gotten better, but the other teams ahead of them that I already had ahead of them, they also got better. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter that this Bulls team's better. I think the league is more offense driven to the point where defense is almost undervalued. The talent is getting much lower. Okay. So wait. So you think that the talent of the league is actually decreasing, Noel? Or do you just mean like specifically like offensive talent? Okay. Horford doesn't get nearly enough touches. He stops playing hard on both ends after being ignored. I trade him if Billy refuses to play through him more. Vooch and DeMar for Anthony Davis. Okay. That's an interesting trade. Vooch and DeMar for Anthony Davis, I don't think is... I've talked about this before. Like, if I could trade DeMar for Anthony Davis straight up, I would do it. Vooch and DeMar might be a little bit much. If I'm getting a little bit more in return, I'd actually consider that deal. But I'm not sure. I have to get a little bit more than just AD out of that. Because I'm also assuming that I'm trading picks in that deal. Is it the Zart 23X? I don't know how to say that. On the defensive end, you're saying, Noel? Okay, so you think that there's less talent on the defensive end in today's game. I can agree with you on that. 2004 Pistons and 2011 Mavs were my favorite championship teams. Very memorable underdogs. Caper, sorry. Yeah, I love those two teams as well. They're definitely very, very big underdogs. Okay, hold on, Marvin. I'm trying to read everything. So to answer your first chat message, first half of last year, you didn't feel the Bulls were capable of being the number 1 seed. I did not think they were. I thought that this Bulls team. I know that through February, or they were tied for first. I'm like, no, they're not gonna stay at first. I thought that they could hold on to home court advantage, but even if Ball was healthy, I think they still fall to 4. And here's the thing: the East was separated by what? The first and 4 through 6 seed was separated by 6 games. Like, it was close. So, not saying that the Bulls would drop off a cliff. It's just that I don't think that they would stay at number 1, or number 2. Each one of those things you named, except Cleveland, the Bulls played well against them without Lonzo Ball this year. We did not play well against them last year. I'm not saying the Bulls are championship ready. I'm saying a healthy Lonzo, the right pickup at the trade deadline, can bring can change a whole lot of minds. But again, I understand your point about us winning against the Bucks and the Celtics this season. But I'll ask you: are you picking the Boston Celtics or the Chicago Bulls in 7-game series in the playoffs right now? It's good that we're winning against these teams in the season. I just think the playoffs are a completely different game. And even if you add Lonzo Ball and you make some sort of deal that is impactful, but not, all-star or superstar level impactful, I still don't choose the Bulls over those teams. Big reason: they have superstars, right? Giannis, Tatum. Either way, the Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, they're going to have the better players, or the best player in that series. I don't understand your logic in 7-game series because we beat them. Why can't we beat them in 7 games? Yes, we can. I straight up disagree with you, man. Because the playoffs are a completely different game. Like, it is, when you have time to game plan for your opponent, like, you can absolutely exploit all their weaknesses. That's the reason why it's like, in the middle of the season, it's a little bit different because you don't have that much time to game plan for each opponent. It's like, okay, we get the general scouting report on all these guys, but yeah, we beat them. We beat them twice, the Boston Celtics twice at the United Center. Great. That's awesome. But I don't see that. I don't see us beating them 4 times in the playoffs. It's called a blueprint. Early Duncan, the Bulls play better against Boston than any team in the NBA now. I'm not saying Milwaukee, but Boston. Yes, we do. Okay. I'll give you this, Marvin. If the Bulls have to face anybody in the first round, and they're not a top 4 seed, I would want to face Boston. I will say that. I think the Bulls match up the best against Boston, but I'm still taking Boston. I'm still taking Boston in that series right now. Like, there has to be like a significant change to this Bulls roster for me to say that the Bulls are beating the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, because it's either that Patrick Williams has to jump up to being like at least, averaging like 14 to 15 points per game, and you're seeing how impactful he is to potentially becoming like a 2-way all-star. Lonzo has to be healthy, and 100% healthy, I'm saying, not just 80% healthy, and then Zach has to become like a superstar. Okay, hold on. I need to read some other stuff. Noel, has there been any updates on Lonzo? The 4 to 6 weeks are already up. There is no update, and this is the reason why I've been saying, like, I think Lonzo's out for the season. And I said right when the news broke that he is having another surgery. I expect him out until January, at the very least. We only got the update from Chris Haynes when it was a TNT game against the Brooklyn Nets, and all it was that Lonzo's just starting to do some stuff. No contact, but just starting to get onto the court, and that's kind of it. But it's like we kind of already knew that, so no update on that. Let's see here. I think our ceiling with a healthy Zoe and a 70% Kawhi from P. Will be a finals run. Okay. That's 70%. Yeah, that's a significant leap, though. You know, the significant change is a healthy Lonzo and the right piece at the trade deadline. Okay. Again, though, I'm saying that significant piece has to be like either if P. Will doesn't become, doesn't upgrade to being that great, like a very, very good starter, then it has to be a superstar. If we get that upgrade, then we need to add like a significant bench piece, like a very, very significant bench piece or starter. That's like, either close to All-Star caliber or All-Star caliber then. Zoe, Levine, P. Will, Anthony Davis, and Drummond is a good balance of defense and offense with Adam Caruso off the bench. Davis returns home. So does DeMar to Los Angeles. It's something I definitely consider, Zart, if I'm saying that right. Let me know if I'm saying it wrong. Maybe it's just X art. But yeah, I could see that. I just wonder if you're doing that trade, like do the Lakers, like what entices the Lakers to do that? I feel like if you're the Lakers, you're not trading AD for older guys. Yeah, for the Bulls, AD is a gamble. I understand. But yeah, AD is a gamble. But I think if you're trading Vooch and DeMar and like you're getting a little bit more than just AD back, it might be worth the gamble. Because I know that he has the opportunity to be, or potential to be, like that superstar. And also this, like, if we're trading in general, if we're trading DeMar and we're trading Vooch, like what can you realistically get back for them, right? With AD, he's younger. I know he's more injury prone, but him being younger and still playing an all-star caliber, potentially could be a superstar. I can see it working out, but it'd have to be the right, moves. Like, we can't be giving up too many draft picks, and we'd have to get something else in return because DeMar's, been having such a great run that it almost kind of like cancels out AD, right? So it's like, okay, AD's still more valuable because he's younger, but in my head, I'm just like, okay, if Anthony Davis is like 4.5 stars, DeMar is like 4 stars. Like, just going off the, let's just go off 2K. And then if you're trading Vooch, then that's where it's like, okay, we need something else in return as well, like something else pretty solid. AD isn't really that much younger than Vooch. Yeah, he's not. But like, I mean, if you're choosing, Anthony Davis or Vooch, who are you gonna choose, right? All right, Unstoppable. What's your thoughts on Billy? Do you think Bulls need a coaching change? So I've been mostly a Billy Donovan defender, and since his time here, I defended him a lot. And this season has definitely shown like he has some issues coaching. I mean, this has always been my big criticism of Billy, even when I've been defending him. Like, I think his inability to make in-game adjustments is a big issue. This season, though, like I'm having lineup issues with him. I'm having some overall like just like some serious like coaching errors on the offensive end. Not sure why Vooch is not getting more post up touches. And here's the thing, like posting up is not like it's actually when you look at the analytics, like it's not a very good offensive system. Like it analytically, it's not very efficient. But I'm not exactly saying like you need to post up Vooch to get him to score. I just think posting up allows this Bulls team to get more paint points in general. Because right now, one of the things that this Bulls team is lacking is paint touches. And that, I think, posting up still does, still helps this Bulls team. Like, it gets more paint touches for this Bulls team. So, I'm having a lot of issues with that. Yeah. Well, do I think there needs to be a coaching change? Right now, if I had to make a decision today, yes. But Billy's not going anywhere this season, unless the Bulls completely start to flop. And I think it's going to be, something they evaluate come off season. He has 1 year left of his deal, if I'm not mistaken, after this season. So I could be wrong, could be 2, but I think that's when they're going to really evaluate him, see if they actually need a coaching change or not. Okay, I think you guys are going down the wrong road. Vooch, DeMar, Zach, you're not treat either of them. You're giving up on them too early. We haven't seen this year's team with Lonzo. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Marvin, but like I want to see this team with Lonzo, but more so to see like what do the Bulls still need, because I still think they need a lot more even if Lonzo's here. Like even with Lonzo playing last season, the Bulls still were bottom 5 in 3-point attempts per game. Like this is with Lonzo playing. It doesn't fix the 3-point issue. Like he helps, but he doesn't fix the 3-point issue. And the Bulls defense has actually been pretty okay to start the season. I think he upgrades the defense to being, one of the better defenses around. But like what he's not going to do is fix his offense, which I think is the bigger issue currently, which should be an issue with these 3 guys, the big 3 on the court together. But you're seeing that it's becoming an issue because there's the dynamic of LaVine, DeMar, and Vooch together isn't working. So I understand what you're trying to say, that this team has not had Lonzo yet, but yeah, I'm more so like, if Lonzo is here 100%, he helps his team, but he doesn't fix all the issues, which this Bulls team needs to fix to become an actual contending team. And then making one more trade after Lonzo's fully healthy still doesn't fix all those issues. I think the issues come from the core, which is the big 3. Like there's issues with them. So that's the reason why I'm saying that one of those 3 probably has to go for this Bulls team to start moving up. Yeah. Billy doesn't use his center even when he was in OKC. Yeah, but Steven Adams is very limited offensively, but yes, Billy does not typically use his centers, yes. Vooch is an all-star, wants to play his game. Analytics may show post-start efficient offense, but I want happy all-stars than frustrated ones. He's a good passer. He played more D-happy. Like, I'm not even like worried about, his morale, honestly. I'm more so saying, like, hey, the Bulls, for them to get paint touches, they need to post up Vooch. Like, that's just straight up facts, in my opinion. Again, Bulls are a bottom 5 team in paint points right now. Bottom 5. I understand that this team does not have 3-point shooting, but even if you don't have 3-point shooting, like the Thunder don't, you can still score points in the paint. The Thunder lead the league in points in the paint. Like, that's the part where I'm like, this Bulls team needs paint points, and I think posting up does just that. So yeah, I think that's where I'm like, posting up Vooch needs to happen. Not necessarily for him and his happiness, but more so for the team to actually start scoring better on offense, because the offense has been the issue to start the season. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Well, Lakers will get older with a couple of picks in between the 20-30 range. Let's see. But Braun has 2 years left max. Braun needs to for titles, and only experience also can play with him, as well as excellent shoes. I mean, Lakers window's 2 years. So in my opinion, I think the Lakers window is already over. If I'm saying Zart, if I'm saying your name correctly, I think the Lakers window is actually over right now. I mean, unless they can somehow salvage this Westbrook trade, like, in my opinion, it's over. I don't know what they can do, honestly. Sorry, my nose is stuffed. So yeah. That's the reason why I'm kind of like, I don't see the Lakers trading for DeMar and Vooch, because they're older when they probably want to get younger. But yeah. I think they need to get rid of Billy now, get it over with, and go get Udoka, who they were supposed to hire in the first place. I don't think it will happen. So, first off, I completely disagree with Udoka. Do I think Udoka is a great coach? Yes. But that situation needs to be, like, at least in my opinion, a year has to go by before you can start coaching again. If you want to, at least for me, like, if you want to say the Bulls should get Udoka, I can kind of accept it in the offseason, but right now, no, that's not happening in my opinion. And I think it's a horrible decision to do such a thing. In terms of getting rid of Billy now, I will say that here's the thing: there is a case. I think there is a case where Billy could be fired now, because losing to the Magic is inexcusable, and how they lost, like, that alone could get a coach fired. So I can understand that. I'm with you though. I agree that I don't see Billy getting moved. And if he got moved today, like, if let's say he got fired today, I don't know who I would replace him with right now. Steve Nash is, in my opinion, is a horrible coach. Don't get him. Yeah, I don't know who it would be. I know Kenny Atkinson is on the Warriors bench currently, but I don't see Kenny Atkinson being the right guy for this team anymore. I thought he was the right guy when Billy was hired, but not now. So I don't know who it would be, honestly. I really don't. I really believe if we win the overtime game against the Thunder and we on a 4-game winning streak, this is not a conversation we have today. Specifically, the conversation you and I are having, or the Billy Donovan conversation, or whatever the conversation is. So let me just say this, Marvin. Even if we're on a 4-game winning streak, I still think we're having this conversation that this Bulls team does not have enough to win the championship this season, or be a 1 seed or whatever. I'm not picking them over the Celtics, the Bucks, or the 76ers in the playoffs still. If you talk about Billy, I still think that this is a conversation that we're still having, even if we're on a 4-game winning streak right now, about Billy Donovan and his job, because the Bulls lost to the Magic. And they went on that horrible stretch. You disagree Orlando's being more than Chicago this year and they are a capable team? I completely disagree with that statement. not only did the Bulls lose to the Magic, they lost to the Magic without Paolo Banchero playing that game. Like, I flat out just that makes that loss so much worse because the Magic were not 100%. Adrian Griffin. That's a good call. I actually wanted the Bulls to hire Adrian Griffin when Boylen was fired. I think now, like, I would have some concerns, I'd say, but I would definitely be more happy with Adrian Griffin than Kenny Atkinson right now. And honestly, I might be more happy with Adrian Griffin now than Billy Donovan. I can agree with that. I think Adrian Griffin deserves, Adrian Griffin, like, the fact that he has not had a coaching job, like, a head coaching job, to me is a disgrace. And I think it shows, like, how messed up the league is right now and hiring guys that should not be coaches. Like, Steve Nash did not deserve to be head coach. Chris Finch has done a horrible job in Minnesota and did not deserve to be head coach. There are guys that just did not deserve it. Luke Walton. Like, the fact that Adrian Griffin has not had a chance, and his time being an assistant coach in the NBA is horrible. And he 100% deserves a chance. That is a good call by you, Unstoppable. Yeah, I can totally get behind that. But it's definitely hard to hire a coach in the middle of the season. Yeah, I'd be open to the idea, though, of Adrian Griffin coming in to be the next coach. I like that a lot. LeBron's just getting the checks, and Lakers just use the name as a form of advertisement at this stage, in my opinion. I would agree. So, when it comes to LeBron and the Lakers, like, I know we went over this a little bit earlier, I think, but here, so next offseason for them, like, this is, I think, what they're banking on is the fact that they could have like $34 million in cap space. That's not enough for a max contract, and I don't think they're gonna have enough. They're gonna even if you get rid of Damian Jones and Max Christie, this is the only reason why they have all this money is because Russell Westbrook's coming off the budget. They still won't have enough money for like a max player, and then at that point you have the mid-level exception, the biannual exception, and draft picks, which they don't have. So that's the reason why I'm just like, I think the Lakers are just screwed because, yeah, maybe LeBron has one more, run in him, and Anthony Davis can hopefully stay healthy, but the players that you're going to surround these guys with, I just don't think are going to be up to par. But yeah, that's an interesting topic, for the Lakers and AD. I think they thought AD could be like the guy, like a top 5 player once LeBron, starts to decline. That hasn't happened. So that's the reason why I think they're overall screwed, because I don't see Anthony Davis, on this Lakers team at least being like a superstar again. LeBron's not getting any better; he's getting worse. Yeah, rough. I think LeBron is still as good as anyone in the playoffs. He no longer can bring it on every regular season game though, because age. Maybe. To have a conversation about firing Billy Donovan, but on the other hand, say that the Bulls don't have enough it's not fair to Billy. I really think that's the truth. I think the start though, Marvin, has been very overall it's been underwhelming. Like the fact that we're starting not great. Like a 9-11 start is acceptable, but it's some of these losses that the Bulls have had that it's you can start questioning Billy Donovan's job. If let's say the Bulls are 9-11 and they're in every single game and they're winning against the bad teams and they're not having these blowout losses to the Denver Nuggets and then the New Orleans Pelicans on back-to-back nights. I get that, but like I don't think Donovan's job would really be in question right now. I still don't think it's in question. By the way, I don't think Donovan's job is really in question, but I do think it's worth having the conversation about Donovan, because I think, in my opinion, like, because the Bulls have gotten these wins against some of these good teams, like, they should have a better record right now. Like, that loss to the Magic is inexcusable. That just can't happen. And I know they should have won that one if Vucevic just makes his free throws, but still. Team has no identity and no leader. I actually disagree with the identity part. Is it a very solid identity? No, but you know what the Bulls want to do, right? They want to play good perimeter defense. They want to force turnovers and get out and run in transition. That's the style of play that they play, right? Second toughest schedule in the first 20 games. Let's see what they do for the rest of the season. I'm aware of that, Marvin. Like, yeah, second toughest schedule. Again, though, let me say, I had the Bulls starting 4-8, but I thought that after that 4-8 start, that the Bulls could immediately get back up to 500 and start being over 500 at this point, at least, right? 20 games in, they're not. They're under 500, and if they just win, a game against the Spurs or that game against the Magic, then that record's flipped right now, and then we're not talking about this, right? So yeah. Also, I don't think Billy is good at development. We need it for Patrick Williams and Dale and Terry. So I've heard this argument unstoppable. I'm just indifferent with it because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander developed very well under Billy Donovan. I also know Chris Paul was there, but like SGA was. I mean, think about the leap that SGA had under Billy Donovan. Like Shai went from being like a 10-point per game scorer to averaging 19 the next season, right? So there is a track record with Billy that he actually develops young guys well. I think with Patrick, though, because Patrick's just not a scorer like right now, and he wasn't going to be a scorer for a while, that like it's hard to see the development with Patrick. I think Patrick has actually taken a very good step forward already this season. Especially the defensive end. Like defensively, I think he's been great, and he's done much better than what I thought he would. Especially after seeing the first 4 games of the season, where he absolutely looked lost. With Patrick, though, like I brought up like Jaylen Brown, earlier. Like Jaylen Brown, when he came into the league, right? Jaylen Brown first year averaged 6 points per game. Okay, obviously he took a bigger leap, but he kind of was stuck at that 14, 13 area, right? In general, like I just think with Patrick, we have to just be patient with him when it comes to his offensive game. And because he has this upside of being like a two-way all-star, I'm willing to be patient with him. Defensively, I think Patrick has taken a huge step forward, and obviously, him missing all of last season did not help. So with Billy, it's definitely tough. I don't exactly know. Is he bad at developing players? Who knows? It's also really rough to kind of make that judgment when like he was brought in, like his first season, his first season in the NBA was him trying to win the championship, right? Like there was nobody to develop on that team. It was, he had Russ, he had KD in their prime, right? Serge Ibaka, Steven Adams, like they're in their prime. There's no one to develop on that team, right? And then for the rest of the time in OKC until they traded Westbrook, they didn't have anyone to develop, honestly, on that team, right? So that's the reason why it's a little tough right now for me to say, like, is Billy a bad development coach? I don't know. I can't 100% say yes or no on that. Didn't Billy only coach SGA for only 1 year? Yeah, he did. And it was the year that I just said. But, like, my point is, it's like, this is, like, I don't think this should go unnoticed when it comes to SGA, like, and Billy. Like, that's a huge leap, isn't it? And don't you think that's a huge leap? I at the end of the day, I do think players still have the most like to say about their development. Like, at least in my opinion, I have like full faith in Ayo Dosunmu that he's gonna reach his full potential because he has the mentality that he wants to be great. And I think with Patrick, like we haven't heard Patrick say anything about him becoming a great player until like yesterday or today, right? We haven't had those sort of like quotes from him that's like he has full confidence in himself to be that great player until today, right? So, you know, with SGA, like the dude has full confidence he's going to be one of the best players in the league. He had a great 1 year in ability, right? And at the end of the day, though, I still think like it's more on the player, in a sense. Like, here's the thing: I know Dalen Terry's not playing right now. I think Dalen Terry is going to hit his potential, whatever it is. I don't know what that is, but like the way he talks, Dalen Terry said in a pre-draft interview that he thinks that coming, like, you know, whenever they do the redraft for the 2022 draft class, that his name's going to be up there as one of the best players from that draft class. Like, that's the confidence I want to hear from players, right? And I think that's something that is more valuable than a coach trying to develop them. With P. Will, like it's so interesting because, like, you know, as I say this, it almost looks bad on the front office because the front office is like, if that's the case, right? How did they not see that P. Will doesn't have that much confidence in himself and doesn't talk very highly about himself? But I think that year, because it was a COVID year and, like, you know, everything's all out of sorts. You can't do the right workouts with these guys. Like, you know, drafted just solely off potential, I'm okay with. And that's what they did with P. Will. Obviously, it would be nice if they had Tyrese Halliburton right now. It would be very nice. But with P. Will, they have him, and I'm willing to be patient with him at the end of the day. But I don't trust Billy development, to be honest, but I should be wrong. I don't fault you for not trusting Billy in his development. All I'm going to say right now, for at least for the start of this season, I've liked what he's done. I've liked what he's done with Patrick. Patrick's two-way potential is worth waiting for. Only 20. Turned a corner in the last few weeks, and as long as he plays hard every time out, he will improve. Him being passive was frustrating. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But here's the other thing too, Zart. Like, I thought Patrick was being passive on defense too. Like, it looked like he didn't have full confidence that he could guard whoever he was guarding. Right? It looked like he's like, I don't think I can do this. Right? That to me has gone out the window. Like, that to me is like the biggest significance to me. It's like he thinks to himself right now that I can guard anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. And that to me is huge development, in my opinion. Could be wrong. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Again, I don't fault you, Unstoppable. I can understand the concerns with Billy and his development of players. I just think that there isn't enough evidence, in my opinion, to make a full-out judgment. Like, the judgment is gonna be P. Will, Dalen Terry, honestly. And so, Marvin, I saw your comment, Marvin. Like, I guess Billy gets no credit in development of Ayo. I think, again, like with Ayo, the dude, it has all the confidence in the world, right, of himself. He honestly thinks that he's going to be a great player in this league. I think because the fact that it was his rookie season, and you know, he's like a 3-year player out of college, Billy's going to get less credit for his development because he didn't have the time to develop Ayo, right? The true development test for Billy is going to be P. Will and Dalen Terry. It's also going to be the development test for the front office, by the way. Like, it's not just Billy; it's going to be those guys as well. everybody's gonna be evaluated when it comes to this sort of stuff. Do you think the front office will keep Kobe White? Yes, because Lonzo Ball is not playing, and I don't think Lonzo's playing this season. Honestly, I really don't. I hope he proves me wrong, but because Lonzo's lack of progression, and I really don't think he's playing, I think Kobe stays. I know people have wanted him gone. I've been looking at trading him. Like for going into this season, I was looking at potential trades, but yeah, I think he stays for the rest of the season. Did they bring him back? No, I don't think so. I don't think that they're gonna bring him back after the free agency. I think Kobe's gonna want to get paid a pretty significant amount, and it's like, you're not starting on this team, no matter what. So, yeah, I just can't see I can't see the front office looking to pay Kobe, whatever it is that he wants. It will be interesting to see what, like, let's say Kobe has like a good rest of this season off the bench. Like, this is where things get tough, right? I don't know. Like, let's just look at the Boston Celtics. So the Boston Celtics right now, they're paying Malcolm Brogdon to come off the bench at $22 million. Do I think Kobe's Malcolm Brogdon? No. But let's just say Malcolm Brogdon, or let's just say Kobe, like, at least improves to where, like, we're thinking, like, 6-man type guy, spark scorer off the bench. Like, 26 million is, or 22 million is huge. Like, that's too much money. But could I see 16 million if he has, a good rest of the season and he's closing in some games? Yeah. I could see the front office being willing to pay that if he has, good consistent games for the rest of the season. I just don't think that's going to happen. And then with how much money right now teams are going to have due to the salary cap going up and young teams looking to spend, I think Kobe's going to get probably a good chunk of money. And it's like, if you're the Bulls front office, I don't know. I just don't see that. Like, I don't see it's worth it. And then the whole conversation is like, well, if you're not going to bring him back, why don't you trade him? I think it's, I don't think you're going to get much value for Kobe right now, at least. So I don't see the point in really trading him. I think he could be more valuable to this club currently than whatever he brings back. Now, that could change, in a few months. Front should just try to trade Kobe for Seth Curry if that's the case. Brooklyn could be breaking that team up. I know it's going to take more than that because of contracts. Yeah. Let's look at that. Actually, that's actually a good idea. Honestly, Kobe for Seth Curry is not going to happen. Like, Kobe's value is too low right now for that to work because one, he's been inconsistent, but two, he's gonna be restricted free agent, right? Like, I know a lot of Bulls fans are like, okay, well, we don't have to worry about restricted free agency at that point. Well, hey, whoever trades for him has to worry about that, which makes him less valuable currently. Okay, this isn't loading. Let's just do this then. Oh, spot track down. Spot track might be down. Actually, Kobe for Seth Curry money wise works. But I think value wise doesn't work for Brooklyn. So who knows? That could be an idea. I don't hate that idea, by the way. Like, I would actually consider that. Yeah, I can see Seth Curry being a guy off the bench. The only issue I have with Seth is I think injury wise, I don't really trust him too much. Let's see here. Yeah, this is where I get nervous. Last season 64 games. Year before that, 57. Year before that, 64. Yeah, this year he's only played 11, so I know he's missed some time. So that's where I get concerned, at least. So maybe Brooklyn actually accepts that. Who knows? Yeah. Looks like Spot Track is just broken. Hey, we're back. Yeah, 7 million for Kobe, 8 million right now for Seth. Yeah, I just want to double check that there's not like a heavily backloaded contract for Seth that I'm missing. Yeah, I mean, money wise, that works. What about swap with New York for Cam Reddish? So yeah, I've actually brought up Cam Reddish before. I would personally love it, but why would New York do that? Cam Reddish is actually playing, like he's starting, in New York now. So it just, to me, it's like, yeah, it makes sense for the Bulls, but why would New York do it? I've been a huge Cam Reddish since his time at Duke. So I would personally love Cam Reddish on this team. I just don't see how New York's like, yeah, we'll take that. Like Kobe White for Cam Reddish, why would New York do that? Yeah, it's stoppable. Like what? I just want to know, like, why would New York do that? I like again, money wise, it works. Cam Reddish is making this much money. Both are restricted free agents, so interesting. But like, if you look at what Cam Reddish is doing this season, like he's really he's really playing well. Or sorry, he's not playing amazing, but he's putting up like some serious numbers, or serious minutes per game, I should say. Yeah. Oh, you think Cam could be a superstar? I wouldn't say Cam. Maybe I'll start with Cam Reddish. I'm just more interested in Cam Reddish as like a wing that can actually shoot the ball on this roster, and provides versatility. Like a 6'8" wing that can play multiple positions, that can defend multiple positions, and can shoot the three ball. He'll be the designated shooter on this team. Like, sounds great. Um, yeah. I just don't. I just don't see why New York would do this. Yeah. I heard from other Bulls fans that the main reason getting Cam Reddish is due to his attitude and potential locker room drama. So yeah, I've also heard that, but I think isn't that just from his time in Atlanta, where like he actually like wasn't really getting that much playing time. Like I don't blame Cam Reddish for having a bunch of issues with Atlanta because they were heavily invested in DeAndre Hunter, and I think that's a mistake. Honestly, um, I'm not sure if either one of them, if either Cam or DeAndre Hunter is really your starting small forward of the future. But they chose DeAndre Hunter, so they're rolling with it. I just think Hunter is also very, very injury prone, and like he hasn't exactly like improved. Thibodeau didn't really play him during the early stages either. Yeah, and that's my point. Like, if this was just an Atlanta thing, then like I don't think locker room issue is much of an issue. Like, uh, he went to New York and then just got benched. Um, so I don't know how much pouting he did there, but Tibbs was pretty stupid not to play him. I'll say that. That's the typical Tibbs, don't play young guys thing he does. want to see where New York is currently. So Bulls and Knicks are right next to each other. See here. Want to look at the player stats here. So Evan Fournier is now coming off the bench. I believe it, at least. Let me double check that. So yeah, I mean, it looks like Tibbs has like worked it out at least. Like, I don't know actually. Maybe Fournier isn't, but yeah, who knows? New York's weird, man. I really don't know what much else to say. They're just a weird team. I know RJ Barrett's been going through like the roughest stretch of his career recently, so. Is it me or has Caruso not been himself this season? Is he dealing with an injury? He was a real difference maker last season with his hustle plays and defense. So I think to start the year, he wasn't himself. I think recently he's looked great. Don't know about you, but I think Caruso looks like Caruso. I mean, he had that diving play tonight where looked at the Jazz about to get an offensive rebound, and he just dove for the ball at half court, punched it to Javonte Green, and Bulls got a fast break out of it. So I think Caruso looks normal right now. To start the year, he did not look great. He had a lot of miscues to start the year, picking up a lot of fouls, and he was getting back cut to start the year, which is like I've never seen Caruso have that issue. But I think recently he's looked great. He's honestly looked like Caruso, in my opinion. And, you know, him closing games helps also. I apologize about my nose, guys. I hate doing this on stream, wiping my nose, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a solution for my I guess it's allergies, but the thing is that when I talk a lot for like a long period of time, I start getting like a runny nose. I'm tried Benadryl and like antihistamines. Nothing has worked, so I'm gonna continue looking for solutions. So I apologize that I keep doing this, but it's annoying. I'll say that. Disrupts my flow on stream. Do you wish the front office could have worked it out with Markkanen? No. I was fine moving on from Markkanen. Honestly. I don't know if you were here. So we had Unstoppable. We had a whole tank talk. On the stream. Someone was saying that the Bulls should tank, or they were praying for the Bulls' downfall. And I'm like, what? But here's the thing with Markkanen. So I'll just repeat one of the points I made. With Markkanen, like, in my opinion, Lauri Markkanen is not going to be an all-star in his career. I think he's a very solid scorer. I think he's a good player, but I see him having like a Danilo Gallinari type career. And because I don't see his ceiling being that high, I'm more than willing to move on from him. Because you don't, as when you're evaluating young guys, like you have to evaluate who to be patient on. And with Lauri Markkanen, because I don't see him being an all-star, obviously not being a superstar, not someone I could build my team around, that's someone I don't wait on. So I was perfectly fine moving on from him. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm like, the front office clearly offered him something that was a pretty reasonable deal, He didn't take it. He went and got it from Cleveland. It's taken him a bit to, become at least a 20-point per game scorer. I don't see that lasting, in my opinion. At least on a winning team, I should say. I think he can average 20 points per game on a losing team, but him being one of the main guys. But on a winning team, he's not going to be averaging that. So that's the reason why I'm like, okay, I'm perfectly fine moving on from him. Now, do I think that the front office could have gotten a little bit more in return for him? Yeah. I would have liked Larry Nance. That pick, I know they went with the first round pick, but maybe I have to wait and see on that return. But yeah, we'll see. But overall, I'm happy that we moved on from Markkanen. I think that's the right decision. I'd like to know your thoughts though on Unstoppable. Do you agree or disagree with me on that? Have you tried air purifiers with HEPA filter for allergies? I felt the difference in my allergies. So I have an air filter already. Yeah, so I appreciate the recommendation, but yeah, I already have an air filter. Clearly not helping right now. So yeah, I'm gonna do some research, see what I can do. Really, bro? Do you remember what he was doing under Fred Hoiberg? Jim Williams ruined him. Only want him to rebound and catch and shoot. Yeah, I remember what he did under Fred Hoiberg. And hell, I remember 2019, February 2019. Larry Markkanen was averaging like 27 points per game, and that's when I thought like, okay, maybe we have an actual superstar in our hands. But then, and remember, February of 2019, when he had that great month, that was under Boylen. That wasn't under Fred. So, like, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, I understand why people were hyped, but I still think that, and you're seeing it now, like, even in a situation where he's the main option, he's still only averaging 22 points per game, right? That's the reason why I'm like, I don't. When he is actually gonna be on a winning team, to me, he's just Danilo Gallinari, but taller. I'm aware what Boylen did to him, because Boylen then the offseason, he completely ruined him, and we brought this up earlier. Shot chart, like this right here. This is the part where I've been telling people. This is where Markkanen got ruined here. And a lot of Bulls players, this season they just got ruined. This is Larry Markkanen's sophomore season shot chart. Okay, look at this. Compare it to this. Right, pure big difference. And not only was this drastic difference in mid range attempts, post ups, etc. Like just overall, look at the 3-point attempts. Okay. Right, 795 field goal attempts, 332 were threes. This season, 591 field goal attempts, 317 were from three. The dude was basically just a shooter. And yeah, I think he would have had a better season. Obviously, if Boylen wasn't here. I just don't think that he has that all-star potential. In my opinion. I think he'll be an all-star. That's it. I wasn't mad when they moved on from him. I think it was best for both parties. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're in agreement that we don't think he's gonna be a superstar like Dirk. That's where I'm like, because he's not gonna be like a Dirk. No point keeping him. I personally don't see him becoming an all-star. So to me, it's just even better just to move on from him. There's no point in waiting for a guy to reach his ceiling, which isn't going to be that high. Can he be a helpful piece on a winning team? Absolutely. I mean, every single winning team needs shooting. He brings that. But he'll be either the fifth best starter or a bench player, in my opinion, for him to, be like be on a winning team and contributing. I don't think he's going to be like the third option, even, in my opinion. I think he's too limited in what he does to be like an actual cornerstone. Yes, he can score. Yes, he can score from a lot of places, but I don't think he can do it consistently. Yeah. Now, I guess the only thing I could see changing with that is if he gets like a actual point guard that is very good at setting him up and et cetera, et cetera. Mike Conley being out. This is the reason why I swear to God the Jazz are on their 4-game losing streak is because Mike Conley's out. And I said, like, the reason why I don't have faith in the Jazz is because I don't think Mike Conley's going to stay healthy the entire season, and I think Markkanen's success is going to fall. And Mike Conley has already shown that he's not going to be healthy for the entire season. And yeah, so the Jazz are falling now. Not shocked, honestly. So they went from the 1 seed to where are they now? The 9 seed. So they were 12-6, ladies and gentlemen, or 12-7. They lost 5 in a row. Excuse me, they lost 5 in a row. So they were 12-6, and they haven't won since. So, yeah, I just think that this team they're not going far. If Markkanen actually kept this pace up of him like averaging 25 on ridiculous shooting and the team was still winning, I'd have different thoughts. But yeah. Well, if you say he needs somebody to set him up, how do you feel he will play with Zoe? Okay, here's the whole other argument. I personally, all right, let me preface this by saying this: Lonzo Ball, he is a phenomenal passer. He is a phenomenal he's a great 3-point shooter. He is one of the best I've seen in the fast break in the NBA today. I think he's one of the best fast break players in the world today. The dude has some of the best vision I have seen. But what he does not have is the ability to manipulate the defense to open up his teammates for shots. Like he's not a Chris Paul. He's not a Trae Young. He doesn't do that, right? He'll be able to find Markkanen for open looks when he's already open, but he wouldn't be able to run the pick and fade with him effectively, draw multiple defenders, and then kick it out to him, right? That's what he would not do. And I think Markkanen needs that guy to do that. And I don't think Zoe does that. So I think him playing next to Zoe, it's a good fit if there's other star pieces around. But just those two together would not go very far, in my opinion. I'm not a Lonzo Ball hater. I made a video on Lonzo, and like I'm just basically saying about Lonzo, like he's limited in what he can do. Again, great 3-point shooter, great defender, great transition, great passer, but not a guy that you want running the pick and roll with. Not a guy that you want manipulating the defense, right? I've always said Lonzo's more of a wing. I've always said that. And people think I'm crazy, but I'm just like, I think a guy like Lonzo is the prototypical 3-and-D of today's game, but he's also a good rebounder and is a great passer. But in terms of running an offense, I disagree. I don't think he's that. Morant and Halliburton would get Markkanen paid. Yes, that I would want a Tyrese Halliburton next to Larry Markkanen, and I think he'll tremendously help Larry in that case. And just so if people watch this VOD and they're like, "Wow, what a hater!" Like, I want you just to look at this, okay? Lonzo Ball in the pick and roll, okay? his his numbers in the pick and roll have never been good. Okay, so let's go down to Chicago. Okay, DeMar DeRozan 87th percentile, Zach LaVine's the 78th percentile. I would assume it was 73rd percentile or 74th percentile. Excuse me. Lonzo Ball was in the 27th percentile in pick and roll ball handling last season. And you're like, okay, maybe it's just last season. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to actually start looking through this, then we'll move on to we'll look at his time in the Pelicans. I think this was the year that was good for him. So this year he was in the 70th percentile. So this is his one good year being a good pick and roll ball handler that was actually in the top half of the league. Okay, but if you look at all the rest of his years in the NBA, this season in New Orleans, 11th percentile. If you look at his sophomore season with the Lakers, I passed it. Sophomore season with the Lakers, 22nd percentile. That's the part where I'm like, it's the consistent or the actual, what you're gonna get from him is not a good pick and roll ball handler. So again, not knocking him. It's just, to me, it's just straight up facts. And this is the reason why, like, when the Bulls were rumored to be interested in him, I'm like, okay, what does he help this team do? Yes, the team needed 3-point shooting. They needed better defense. They needed to run the fast break better, which he would 100% bring. But what people were starting to say was like, oh, Lonzo could be the third option, or Lonzo could be, the pick and roll ball handler for this team. And I'm like, that's not what he brings. Like, that's not what he's gonna do. That's not his game, and he's not going to do that. And Bulls fans expected, that they're going to be that they're going to be disappointed. And again, not hating, just facts, just how it is. Lonzo's my favorite player. You're right, just facts so far. It is. Hey, here's the thing. I like Lonzo. I'm not hating. I don't hate Lonzo. I don't dislike him. I think he's a great player. But that right there is daunting in terms of numbers. Well, that's just a part of Zoe's game that he needs to address and improve and attacking the basket. Could we say maybe he wants to do this because that knee was bothering him? Don't know. Maybe. I guess we could say that. But again, like, even, like, I know he's had injuries every single year of his career, basically. So maybe there's something there, but I just think that even when he was healthy, he never showed that he could be a pick and roll ball handler effectively. So if you like really want to dive into the numbers on this, this is my blog that I started. Whoops. I wrote after Lonzo Ball, is having surgery, that Io should be the point guard of the future for the Bulls. If you really want to get into if you want to see like the actual nitty gritty like numbers, like here's what I'm looking at here, and I show like how Ball's restricted area, he's not as good. He struggles to finish at the rim. He doesn't take any mid-range shots, and he's very, very bad from mid-range in general. And people were wondering, like, well, okay, what about Io's defense? Like, does Io bring his sort of defense? And I will always say Lonzo's a better defender than Io overall, right? But when it comes to the point of attack, the first first line of defense, you looked at last season, Io was in the top 5 in point of attack defense. So yes, Lonzo's up there too, but my point was is that the point of attack is not going to go down if you put Io at that PG position over Lonzo. Now, what Lonzo is phenomenal at is getting in the passing lanes and being a good help defender. That's what Io does not do as well. Io's, I think, like he's an overall good help defender, but he does not bring what Lonzo does in terms of help defense. But to me, it's like, in my opinion, if I could put Lonzo at the wing and have him be a help defender at the wing, I think that just skyrockets his potential as a help defender on defense. Like, I think that makes Lonzo look even better. Instead of having him be at the point guard position and having him to worry about only, the ball handler, right? I think we used Lonzo in so many different ways on defense, where Io is just more of like a, guarding the ball handler type defender. So if you want to check this out, here's a link to the article. I'll put it in the chat here if you want to see that article, and then rest of the articles are also written by me. So if you want to see any more of my written content, you can check that out there. Last article, favorite nicknames by Stacey King. I think this is a good overall topic. So you can go check this out. I think it's just a good topic. But my favorite, Nate Robinson, Mr. Excitement. That to me was the best nickname by Stacey King. Mind you, I did not start watching the Bulls like full time, or I didn't start watching every single game until that 2012-13 season. And that this was the year that Nate Robinson had that Game 4 heroics against the Brooklyn Nets, and when I saw him, man, like he instantly became my favorite player. So I'm a little biased, but I think this was a fantastic nickname by Stacey King. Sorry, my camera froze again. But yeah, I think just Stacey King has done such a great job with the nicknames, and I love this topic. It was a fun one to write, so check that out if you want to. All right. I know someone asked it earlier. My camera's freezing. I apologize about that. I'm not sure why my camera's freezing so much. I don't know, bro. We really never seen what an NBA team looks like when you mean when Lonzo completely runs the offense? Is that what you're saying? Unstoppable? Yeah, also, my chat, I think my chat is a little bit bugged today. Yeah. They have Zoe play off the ball. Yes, that's what I mean. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So I know in New Orleans, people would argue like, was Zoe playing off ball or was Zoe playing on ball? I thought Zoe was in charge of that New Orleans offense like a good amount of the time. It wasn't all the time, but it was a good amount of the time, and he didn't really show much improvement of being a pick and roll ball handler and being an actual offensive weapon in the pick and roll. So maybe he hasn't gotten that full opportunity. I'm going to argue that he's had multiple chances, though. In LA, I know it wasn't an amazing team around him, but he was looked at as to be the point guard of the future. They used him a lot in that position. Didn't work out, right? So, in my opinion, for Lonzo to succeed, he is better at the off-ball role. Like, I think it's an actual problem if you don't use him in the off-ball role, because the dude shoots 40% from three-point range and is one of the best catch-and-shoot shooters in the league. Like, why would you not want to take advantage of that, I just don't think it's worth even trying to argue, like, well, maybe if he had, his own offense, like, let's see what happened. Like, I'll just pull up one more thing. Like, like for the Bulls, I know he's the point guard, but like let's be honest, like Zach and DeMar, they handle the ball more than Zoe did. So I'll give you that. But even when you look at his shooting, like he never has had like a good year where he's shooting well in the paint and shooting well from mid range. Okay, always, and I mean always, every single year, he's shooting mostly 3-pointers. Okay, that's what he does, right? Is shoot threes effectively. You look at these numbers, like they're limited attempts, but like they're not great. Like 15% from mid range, 10 to 14, 33%. Like these numbers aren't exactly great when you look at them. And it's always like, to me, this just kind of shows you like he's limited when it comes to offense. And I would never put him in the run the offense role. So this was his last year in New Orleans. Again, mostly 3-point attempts. Like more than half of his shots are from 3. These numbers look a little bit better, but again, he doesn't shoot from there. Like, and in all honesty, you don't want him shooting from these areas. Okay, we'll go back one more season. Right, again, mostly 3-point attempts, but bad from 10 to 14 feet, bad from 5 to 9, bad from 15 to 19. Like it doesn't look good from these areas of where it's like you have to be effective in those areas to be an effective pick and roll ball handler, like running the offense. And like the comparisons that he got were always very interesting to me. Like people thought like, okay, next Magic Johnson, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting comparison. I don't like it. I think that's not exactly great. Or sorry, I didn't like it at the time. But I actually like the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, I understand what they're coming from because Magic wasn't, the greatest scorer either, right? Um, and you never saw Magic run pick and roll, right? The dude never he never was at the top of the key running the pick and roll, and obviously different era. But where he made a living was transition. That's where Showtime was. So I understood that part, and then Zoe being a bigger guard and him being good at rebounding and can defend multiple positions. So like I kind of understood that part. But what didn't make sense to me is like Lonzo's his 3-point shot. That's kind of was his thing, right? Now, obviously, Magic didn't shoot from out there. Lonzo struggled to start his career. But yeah. Jason Kidd was a better comparison. I agree. I think that's a better comparison, but yet again, like you said, Kidd's a tank. He's super aggressive. Like Jason Kidd, like that's a dude I want running my offense. Like the dude that's a guy that can effectively run the pick and roll with anybody. And I know that Jason Kidd can pull up on a dime and shoot a mid-range shot, right? So I do think Jason Kidd was a better comparison in terms of like other stuff that Ball does, but in terms of him running an offense, it's still wrong in my opinion. So I just don't know. Like I think the better comparison is just like a 3-and-D player. Honestly, I really do. And with today's positionless basketball, like it doesn't matter if let's say Lonzo's playing the 3. Like if he's playing the 3, he gets the rebound, he's the one pushing it up in the court, right? Uh, it doesn't matter what position he's playing necessarily. Like everyone wants to say he's the point guard. He's the point guard. He's the point guard. And I'm like does it matter to me? He's the spot up shooter on this Bulls team. You know, he's the 3-and-D guy that every team needs. That is really really good. In transition. 3D with elite instincts and IQ. Yeah, that's what I think he is. And like I just think like let's just like where sorry. So I know this is limited time in the NBA for LaMelo, but like if we just take the difference, right? Like, where is he? So with LaMelo, also like this is the thing. I've been saying with LaMelo, like he's also a guy that I think people are a little bit too high on in terms of like they think he's like the next Luka, you know? And I just think the Ball brothers, they're like in their heads, they're still like more like, you know, team, you know, oriented, right? And with LaMelo, like we're looking at like, you know, 36th percentile for him, just a pick and roll. So it's like it's also pretty low for LaMelo as well. Like not much better. You know, the pick and roll guy is Terry Rozier for the Charlotte Hornets, right? I guess also Caleb Martin, but Caleb Martin, you know, limited opportunity. So it just kind of shows you like that it's, you know, these guys like the Ball brothers, like as much as I love them, I think people still kind of had this whole idea about them that they're like, oh, these guys are gonna be, you know, top of the line players for the NBA. You know, I even had someone in one of my classes. In the class, we would write articles and then we would present them in class. And one of the articles was that the Ball brothers have officially made it, and LeVar was right, even if you don't want to admit it. And here's the thing. LeVar, like I love what LeVar has done for his sons and everything. But I think I still think he's extremely annoying. But when it comes to these guys, what he was arguing was that they're the Kardashians of the NBA, which I disagree with that statement too. But they definitely got a lot more attention before they were even in the NBA of them potentially being NBA players. Obviously, they're NBA players, but I just remember with Lonzo that everyone thought, oh, this guy's going to be the next great point guard in LA, and he's going to be like a great leader and be the floor general for that team. And you see that he wasn't exactly that. With LaMelo, I think people, you know, see his 2K stats that he puts up eventually in his career, and they compare it to Luka and say, you know, a big guard, 6'7", can handle the ball, can do all these things, has great passing ability. But I think with LaMelo, I think LaMelo's gonna be an all-star, but I just don't think he's gonna be a superstar. You know, I think people think he's gonna be this superstar, and I'm like, I don't see it. Again, I think LaMelo's gonna have a good career, but yeah, I just don't see LaMelo being that superstar that people keep talking about. And then LiAngelo, people, he was on the Charlotte Hornets roster during training camp. They cut him. This person that wrote the article said like he believes that LiAngelo's going to be on the Hornets roster and is going to make it. And I'm willing to bet that they cut him because with LiAngelo, he like the only thing he can do is shoot really, and it's like that's it. And he's kind of streaky, so that's not enough to make the team. I know the Hornets are struggling, but even a struggling team, they just not that great, right? he's not going to make it. So I just think with the Ball brothers that people they have this idea of where they could be, and it's just a little bit too unrealistic. I hope, honestly, I truly hope that the Ball brothers are prove me wrong, but I think right now this is just an honest take from a fan of one of the teams that one of the Ball brothers plays on. LaMelo, obviously, he's already been an all-star in his young career. I just think that this kind of might be it. Like he's going to average like 22 and 8 for the rest of his career. I could be wrong. Obviously, he has a lot more time. I just don't know how much better he can be. So yeah. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors would love to have LaMelo Ball over James Wiseman right now. They would 100% love that. But yeah, just kind of shows you, And by the way, like, I know pick and roll percentile isn't perfect, but you can really see like who are the guys that are like the catch and shoot guys, and the guys that can only do stuff by themselves, and then who are the guys that can actually create their own shot. All right, one second, I muted my mic when I was blowing my nose. Sorry. Mel's getting numbers because of his situation. I'm not sure how much he would average if there was another ball dominant player in the Hornets. I would argue that Terry Rozier is actually pretty ball dominant. And LaMelo is still getting his numbers. Now on a winning situation where there's like an actual superstar around him, I don't think he's going to be averaging high, or mid 20s points per game. But I still think he can still put up all-star like numbers. Like averaging 17 and 10. Right. But yeah, I just don't think he's going to be averaging Luka numbers at the end of the day. What do you think about the front office making a trade for Jared Vanderbilt on the Jazz? So another thing that we actually discussed earlier on Unstoppable. I'm a huge fan of Jared Vanderbilt. I think I would love him on this Bulls team. I know he's very limited shooting, but I could see Jared Vanderbilt, playing 4 or 5 on this Bulls team off the bench, or being like mostly as like a back of 5, but you can switch with them 1 through 5. He could be a very, very effective piece, So yeah, I would love for him on this Bulls team. I just don't know how he gets here, and I don't know how much the Jazz value him. Yeah, he'd be the switchable big. He'd be the switchable big that this Bulls team is looking for. Yeah, that's definitely something I would take a look at, because I don't know what the Jazz value him at, but if it's second round picks that they're wanting back, yeah, I'd do it. Obviously not 3 second round picks, but yeah. might grow into a future defensive player of the year player, maybe. Yeah, I could honestly see that if he's like if he works on his offensive game to where at least he's like kind of a shooter. Yeah. I see AZ King has joined the chat. I hope this is not one of my friends that is a Phoenix Suns fan. Booker, real MVP, and best center in the NBA besides Joker and Embiid. I could see A and B the best center besides Joker and Embiid. I could see that. I don't think Booker's the MVP currently, but I could see A and B the third best center. I mean, it's weird though. Like, what do you count Cat as right now? Is Cat a 4 or is Cat a 5? With Rudy Gobert on that team. So, you can have a legitimate argument, honestly. So I don't know if that's my friend that is a Phoenix Suns fan that just joined, but good to see you here. Glad you're talking or chatting with us. All right. Giannis is a 5. Is also better than 8. I would agree with that, but he doesn't play the 5. Brook Lopez plays the 5. No, just fine. Okay, gotcha. I'm a big Phoenix Suns fan. That's one of my friends, and we debate about Steve Nash and his tenure. I think Steve Nash didn't deserve both those MVPs. I'm sure you disagree with me, but yeah. Is there a lineup when he plays the 5? Giannis, yeah. So Giannis when it's the second unit, when Giannis plays with the second unit usually, he typically plays the 5, but starting wise, it's Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez plays most of the center minutes on the Bucks, so that's the reason why I can't put Giannis as the 5. You know. Oh, you agree? Actually, okay. Wow, I'm actually shocked to see a Phoenix Suns fan that agrees with that take. Yeah, and I'm not one of those people that says that Kobe should have gotten it. I think Dirk Nowitzki should have won one of those MVPs. That's just my take on it. I know a lot of people say Kobe, but Kobe his team wasn't winning at that time. I think Dirk deserved another. Yeah, I'm actually a real Suns fan who knows the game. Wow, that's a little rare to find in Chicago. Typically, the Phoenix Suns fans that I talk to in Chicago, or who I know at least, they kind of like, yeah. Maybe Dirk at the time. Okay. Well, just because I'm gonna be that guy. Dirk Nowitzki, in this. So these were the years that Nash won it. Okay. Just saying, these numbers look fantastic. Okay, but more importantly was this. If you look at the 2006 NBA standings, okay, in the Western Conference, the Dallas Mavericks won 60 games, but they were the 4th seed. Reason being was because they had that rule where if you won the division, you're guaranteed a top 3 seed because you won your division. Okay, San Antonio Spurs, they won obviously the division that the Mavericks are in. Suns, their division, etc., etc. Okay. The Dallas Mavericks had the second best record in the Western Conference, right? Now, I understand that Phoenix is listed at number 2 here, but they won 54. Mavericks won 60. I'm just saying, like, if we're taking, the whole wins argument, like, Dirk, this season, like, 60 games, won 60 games, and put up 26, 9, basically 50, 40, 90. Like that it's just it doesn't make much sense to me, you know? I know Dirk wasn't 100% 50, 40, 90, but let's be real. 48, 40, 90. Like, come on. You know? That to me is better than Steve Nash's year. I know Steve Nash didn't have Amari Stoudemire this year, and it was impressive at what he did. But I can't deny what Dirk did that season and how many wins that team had. Um, yeah, and Steve Nash is always one of those interesting players because when the rules changed, like his career kind of took off. Obviously, the D'Antoni 7 seconds or less offense helped him a lot, but like I don't want to fault Steve Nash for having better numbers because of the offensive system he was in. I don't want to do that. It's just that I'm seeing Dirk and I'm seeing Steve Nash, and this is the part that bothers me: that Dirk did not win MVP this season, but he won it the next season. Yeah, just my 2 cents on the Steve Nash debate that I love having with people. I do think overall Steve Nash was a little bit overrated as a player, and I think it got him that coaching job with Brooklyn, and clearly that he's not a good coach. Um, I didn't like how he was hired. I think other coaches deserve opportunities. I know we brought up Adrian Griffin earlier. I think Adrian Griffin 100% deserves an opportunity over Steve Nash. So yeah, that that to me was a huge issue because of Steve Nash's playing career that he got that opportunity quickly. No coaching experience, was a consultant for the Golden State Warriors, and then decided to coach. Not a fan of how that went down. Um, I know the Stars probably had some say in it, but yeah, wasn't a fan. You actually like KJ and Kidd on the Suns more than Nash? Oh, okay. Wow. I'm shocked that we actually see that from a Phoenix Suns fan. But I can also understand why. I'm a huge Jason Kidd fan. I love Jason Kidd. Mark Price was as good as Nash. D'Antoni just took league by surprise. Ooh, uh, yeah. I can also see that argument too. All right. Well, AZ King 480. I appreciate you checking in and checking in on my stream. I appreciate that a lot. But this did they say Steve Nash was telling Kyrie one play and Kyrie ran a whole totally different play? Uh, I think that was happening this season. Uh, but yeah, I I don't know. I think overall Steve Nash like it. If you look at the I wrote an article on this actually here. Let me see if I can bring this up. Sorry, I don't want to show my entire Google Drive on stream here. So you're gonna get this. Uh, Also, if anyone likes to play Valorant, I'm a Valorant nerd. So yeah, let me know if you like that sort of stuff. Let me see if I can search this. Drive, hold on. One sec. Pulling it up here. What? Sorry, hold on. I apologize. It's all of a sudden. I can't find it here. Hold on. Aha, there it is. Aha. So I actually predicted that Steve Nash was on the hot seat. Um, or like, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I think everyone knew that, but I accidentally predicted the Steve Nash firing because I wrote this after the Pacers loss that they had. Um, so on Saturday October 29th, I wrote this, and then on the following Tuesday, he got fired. I was just like, okay, but I wrote like, should Steve Nash be on the hot seat? Because let's be honest, like Steve Nash during his time as coach, okay, this season they've been very average on offense, but so far through the point of the season that Durant and Irving were responsible for 55% of the Nets points through 6 games, which was awful. Um, but you look at what Steve Nash has done in his career, okay. Let's see. So second in the Eastern Conference, made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals. I know that they're like a toe away from moving on to the Eastern Conference finals. I'm aware, okay. But then the next season they finish 7th. They get swept in the first round. But if you look at what Steve Nash has done, in his time, um, they've never actually I forget where it was specifically in this article. Um, Maybe I didn't actually put this in, but if you look at his like defensive rating, um, during like the Nets defensive rating during his tenure, like it was never, it was always bottom third in the league. Like it was always bottom third. It was never in the top half, and that's where it's like that's a serious issue. Like if you're actually going to be a contending team, you have to be a good defensive team. And the fact that the Nets were always in the bottom third was just so ridiculous in my opinion. And I feel like people didn't talk about it. And then Mike D'Antoni was his assistant coach his first year, and that was when the Nets actually had a good offensive rating. But then you look at the year after D'Antoni left, which was the year they finished 7th, and then obviously the start of this season. It hasn't been that good. It just straight up hasn't. So that's the reason why I'm like, man, I think you need to see you need to start looking at Steve Nash and his inability to coach. So yeah, here. Bottom third in defensive rating last 2 seasons. Worst defensive team to start this season. The Nets were, at least when I wrote this. So yeah. Just not good. Just not good from Brooklyn Nets to Steve Nash, man. Just not good. I think Jacques Vaughn deserves another chance, and I hope he does well in Brooklyn. But I don't know, man. I think Brooklyn just needs to tear it all down and hit the reset button. Like, at least get KD, Kyrie, and all those guys out of there, and then start looking at some potential options. And not saying full out rebuild because they don't have their picks, so there's no reason to do such a thing. But just reset, man. Just get rid of the superstars that you have, and figure it out from there. All right, it is late, guys. I want to stream later today because sorry, I'm gonna close this out. I want to stream later today because it's West Coast games for the Bulls. And I wanted to, talk to all the Bulls fans that are staying up late. So appreciate you guys staying up with me. Yeah, it's been an awesome time talking with you guys. But again, it is very late right now. But if you have not already, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button on the stream. That helps me out a lot. I'm hoping to get the channel to grow and build an even bigger community. So I appreciate you guys being here a lot all the time. I'm glad I'm seeing regulars now. So I appreciate the guys sticking around for every time I stream. And if you like Bulls content and you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm making Bulls content all season for the Bulls, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. And And then for all the people, if you have not heard yet, I am thinking of making a gaming channel. I will be releasing that on my community tab when it is made, and I plan on making content there. So be on the lookout for that. Also, if you're a White Sox fan, I'm thinking of making a channel for that as well. Some big moves were just made for the White Sox, or they lost some people. So there's that to talk about as well. So I'm thinking of, doing other channels, but obviously on this channel is just going to be strictly, for now at least, it's just going to be Bulls content. If you want to see some of my other content, whenever that starts to release, I'll let you know on this channel in the community tab. But that's that. For now, Bulls won against the Utah Jazz tonight, 114-107. Pretty decent win. And now they have to go face Phoenix in Phoenix. So that's going to be a tough one for the Bulls, and we'll see how they do. They perform against good teams and have struggled against bad teams. So we'll see if the Bulls can pull out another victory against one of the top teams in the NBA. But I want to thank you guys so much again for sticking around and talking with me. Unstoppable, appreciate it a lot. You brought up some good ideas, so I appreciate you. Noel, you were here the entire time, so again, I appreciate you a lot. And Zart, thank you for sticking around. That's that. One last thing, if you have not followed me on Twitter yet, go ahead and follow me. Here's the link to my Twitter profile. I'm always doing Bulls or live tweeting Bulls games on my Twitter, so if I'm not streaming or if I'm not making content on this channel, you can find my thoughts here on my Twitter account. Go follow me here at Duncan_White14 on Twitter. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to hopefully fix my camera because I keep seeing it's freezing. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys a lot. See y'all in the next one. Peace.